Chapter 524. Virtual Universe, Heavenly Bridge. In the center of the beautiful island, Watchman Bevan was doing his job. However, he suddenly saw three silhouettes appear simultaneously on the island. Luo Feng, Rong Jun, Wuka, you three came together? There's no one on the Nine-Universe Heavenly Bridge. However, Rong Jun, Wuka, the two of you are from the huge axe sect. There's only one bridge, you guys decide who goes first. The Watchman Bevan smiled at Luo Feng and the other two. Rong Jun and Wuka shook their heads. It's not us, we don't want to pass the bridge now, it's Luo Feng, that madman. Wuka said. Right, it's Luo Feng, he wants to pass the 6th level. Rong Jun smiled. Lord Bevan, we want to watch the broadcast, is that all right? Luo Feng, what do you say? Watchman Bevan looked at Luo Feng. Sure. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. Rong Jun and Wuka were the closest to him amongst this batch of geniuses. Watching the broadcast was nothing. Rong Jun, Wuka, watch. Luo Feng smiled and became a blur, flying into the Nine-Universe Bridge. Nine-Universe Bridge's 6th level. Amidst the howling winds, Luo Feng stood on the bridge, looking at the tornado before him, closing his eyes and adjusting himself to his best state. Choose your opponent, fighter, controller, hypnotist, pick one and defeat it to enter the 7th level. A voice resounded from within the tornado. Controller. Luo Feng didn't hesitate. Immediately a silhouette swiftly flew out of the tornado, still dressed in silver and standing on the dark cloud shuttle, carrying a dark golden long rod on his back. His masked face looked coldly at Luo Feng. A Universe Level 9 wants to pass the Heavenly Bridge's 6th level? You were defeated in one move the last time, you seem pretty confident in such a short period of time. Of course. Luo Feng nodded. Shwa. The dark golden long rod behind him seemed to have transformed into a sun. Large amounts of golden light shot out, covering the sky and covering the land. Close to 3,000 little golden blades immediately formed in mid-air, forming 36 golden blades that were about a foot long, and as these 36 blades floated in front of Luo Feng, they swiftly merged into one. Countless golden threads intertwined, perfectly fusing together. In that instant, a seemingly ancient dark golden long blade floated before Luo Feng. Nanshin Armament's 5th stage, spatial cleavage. In reality, when he had comprehended the 10th and 11th profundities, the reason why he was unable to use the Nanshin armament to the 5th level was mainly because his comprehension of the origin source law of metal was lagging behind. And in these 2 years, the golden horned beast had started to research the battle technique tearing sky and land. Combining it with the 3 ancient pictures, its improvement speed was shocking. Unleashing the 5th stage of the Nanshin armament was no longer difficult. Very good, you can also use the 5th level? However, even though they are both at the 5th level, their might not be the same. The silver-robed man laughed. At the same time, the dark golden staff behind him also emitted a large amount of golden light. It quickly combined into a dark golden longsword that hovered beside him. The two of them faced each other from afar. Their eyes met. Absolute domain. Space slicer. Luo Feng's eyes were cold, immediately unleashing his strongest move. Go. The silver-armored man pointed at Luo Feng. Xiao. Xiao. 2 dark golden beams of light pierced through the air. The silver-armored man's dark golden beams were shockingly fast. Even now, in terms of pure speed, Luo Feng's dark golden long blade was still slightly weaker than the opponent's. Not only was it fast, its flight was incomparably unpredictable. The Nanshin armament's 5th level space slicer emphasized both speed and power. The silver-armored man unleashed the most standard version of the Nanshin armament's 5th level. The silver-armored man unleashed the standard version, while Luo Feng's was obviously very special. Luo Feng's dark golden long blade used the 12 Wonders as its foundation, triggering the entire universe space's pressure. Simultaneously, he infused his 2 years of studying the ancient pictures, studying tearing sky and land, his understanding of the gold origin laws, into it. This made the dark golden long blade even more incomparably sharp and powerful. One was speed and power. The other was the space pressure and power. Chi. When the 2 dark golden long blades shot out and were about to clash, the silver-armored man's dark golden long blade's speed obviously decreased, almost as though it was being pressured by a formless force. And Luo Feng's dark golden long blade was infused with the entire universe space's support, pressing forward. Pung! The dark golden long blade became a beam of light. As it knocked away the opponent's weapon, it pierced through his head. 6th level. Pass. Inflexible, you don't know how to adapt. Luo Feng smiled. These 2 years I've been studying the time-space scribbles to study the 9-universe tablet. That drizzle picture can only be considered to have reached 80 points. Your execution should be considered to have reached 100 points in the drizzle picture, the power you can unleash. It's a pity you still lost to me. That time in Primal Chaos City I comprehended. The raindrop picture and drizzle picture are incomparably perfect as one. That's because, comprehending the essence, using it as a framework to connect with the entire universe space, that's the path. From using space to affecting space, this is an improvement in the essence. Luo Feng smiled, immediately flying upwards towards the 7th level. Heavenly Bridge, center of the island. Rong Jun and Wuka were shocked as they watched the scene on the screen. Success? Rong Jun's eyes were filled with shock. How is this possible? Wuka couldn't believe it. It's only been 2 years. And it's been 2 years outside. My training speed can't catch up to Primal Chaos City. In theory, the higher the level, the more time it would take to clear the Heavenly Bridge. And the comprehension speed outside wasn't as fast as in Primal Chaos City. They estimated that Luo Feng would have to wait 10 years outside before he could pass the 6th level. This was one of the more reasonable ones in their imagination. It was a pity, only those that were unreasonable were called geniuses. That was a madman. Time-space scribbles, tearing sky and land along with the 3 ancient pictures, along with his own comprehension of the 9-universe tablet, these allowed him to break through in a short 2 years. Heavenly Bridge, 7th level. Space. Luo Feng flew on the 7th level, feeling dreamy, because before him was no longer the raging winds, but the endless space. This 7th level was actually within the space scenery. Luo Feng finally reached the end of the 7th level. There floated a small meteorite with a diameter of a few kilometers. A voice resounded from it, "Choose your opponent, fighter, controller, hypnotist, pick one and defeat him to pass the 7th level." Controller. Luo Feng shouted, anticipating within. This 7th level opponent, what kind of attack would he unleash? Still a dark golden long blade? Or even higher? All of a sudden, one of the meteorites in front of him broke off, and the piece of rock tumbled across the surface of the Azure Bridge before transforming into a masked being in a suit of blue battle armor. The being was riding a dark cloud shuttle with a dark golden staff strapped to his back. Universe Level 9 youth, to be able to reach this stage, congratulations. I hope you can pass my level. The blue armored man's voice sounded old. HM. Luo Feng didn't hesitate, immediately controlling the Nanshan armament to form a dark golden long blade that floated before him. Not bad. The man in blue walked down from the dark cloud shuttle and onto the bridge. At the same time, the dark golden staff on his back instantly shot out an almost infinite amount of golden light. Almost instantly, the entire sky changed color. The bridge, the starry sky, and everything else disappeared. Only endless sword chi could be seen circling around. Luo Feng's expression changed. This is the Blade World? Nanshan Armaments 6th level. Blade World. According to the Nanshan Armaments, every level, to jump from the 5th to the 6th, the difficulty was extremely high. It could be said that the 5th to 6th stage, as well as the 8th to 9th stage, were the hardest stages of the Nanshin armament. Actually, one could tell from the amount of little golden blades used. The 5th level Space Slicer used 2,916 little golden blades. The 6th level Blade World used 5,832 little golden blades, a whole double. One had to know, the entire dark golden long rod only had a total of 10,081 little golden blades. The later levels weren't as exaggerated as this one. Similarly, the Blade World's power was extremely terrifying. World, what was a world? Only a Sector Lord could control a world, forming a world and using its world energy. However, the Blade World, this move relied on the usage of the origin laws, allowing one to use the world energy ahead of time. However, it was classified as a Blade World energy. It was slightly weaker than a true world energy, however it was still terrifying. Fully comprehending the 6th level, a Domain Lord could rely on the 6th level of the Nanshin armament to dominate the universe. You still have to train well. The blue armored man smiled. Schwa. The entire world pressed down, far exceeding the universe space power Luo Feng could control. Immediately, a sharp blade energy pierced through his head. Luo Feng failed. It's no wonder I failed, it's too strong. Once this move is unleashed, it can completely form a world. Luo Feng exclaimed within, when will I be able to unleash the 6th level? Luo Feng was very clear. From the 5th to the 6th level, it was the most insane improvement of the entire 9 levels. It wasn't any easier than the last level. Rong Jun wouldn't shout to the entire world, however. Wuka was someone who couldn't help but speak up. Very quickly the news spread. Primal region. Bolin was dressed in white, flying in the air above the primal region. Suddenly a majestic silhouette flew over. Bolin. Bolin turned to look, it was Long Yun. Bolin looked silently at Long Yun, waiting for him to speak. Do you know? Luo Feng passed the Heavenly Bridge's 6th level today. Long Yun said. The previously calm and silent Bolin's expression changed slightly. His pupils constricted, saying softly, I know. After which he flew back to his living quarters. After a while, in the center of the Heavenly Bridge Island, Bolin, who was dressed in white, suddenly appeared. Bolin? Watchman Bevan smiled at him. You've really come. I want to attempt the 7th level. Bolin's eyes gleamed coldly. The checkpoints are divided into 3 levels. The 1st level to the 3rd, the 4th to the 6th, and the 7th to the 9th. This 7th level is much harder than the 6th. Watchman Bevan looked at Bolin. You've only passed the 6th level for 2 years, and you want to attempt the 7th. I want to give it a try. Bolin emphasized. Alright, go, there's no one on the universe Heavenly Bridge now. Watchman Bevan smiled. Schwa. The white-armored Bolin immediately flew into the universe Heavenly Bridge. 18th level, complete. Howl. Chapter 525. I'm crazy. I'm crazy. There's an unprecedented feeling of excitement. Oh my God, I've been clenching my teeth and holding my breath to write. In just 2 days, I started writing from 1 p.m. on the 30th to 8 a.m. on the 1st. To be precise, it hasn't even been 48 hours. Waha, in the process of writing headache, I massaged my head. Sleepy, I closed my eyes and rested for 10 minutes. My fingers hurt, I washed them with water and lightly typed on the keyboard. Nervous about the monthly votes, I refreshed the rankings. Dizzy, I'm getting hungry, I need to replenish my energy. Dizzy again, I ate again, but found that it was useless. I slumped on the chair and continued writing, clenching my teeth. The last 2 chapters were written purely by sheer willpower. But, when I finished 18 chapters, I was so excited that my whole body was trembling. I could feel my skin shivering. Excited. I've been writing novels for so many years, and I've written more than 10 million words. However, I've never written 18 chapters in just 2 days. Every day, I spend 2 to 3 hours to organize the plot outline, to ensure that there won't be any problems with the plot, foreshadowing, climax, etc. Haha, I'm afraid that I won't be able to sleep now. What should I do? Haha, but my head is aching again. Oh my God. Well, it's Friday today. Tomorrow is Saturday and I'm dying to rest. So, I'll swap today and tomorrow's rest day. I won't update today and I'll update tomorrow, Saturday. Excited, excited. I tomato have surpassed myself. Waha, if there's a guaranteed monthly vote, I'll support it. As for spending money after this craziness, I'll let everyone read happily in the future. Tomato feels bad for letting everyone spend so much money. Haha, the 18 chapters in 2 days. Moreover, I'm writing it on the spot. I'm really crazy, Scram. Get to bed. I'm too excited now. I probably won't be able to sleep. Forget it. I'll lie on the bed. Chapter 526. Universe Heavenly Bridge Level 7. The blue-clothed man carried a blood blade on his back, wearing a mask as he looked coldly at the white-clothed youth before him. Young man, the Universe Primal Chaos Tablet is the most profound and difficult to study out of the 52 tablets. It simultaneously tests both time and space comprehension. With your attainments in space, you can even attempt the 9th level. However, your comprehension of the law of time is only at the 3rd or 4th level. I advise you to continue comprehending the law of time and improve your comprehension of the law of time before coming back. The white-clothed youth was expressionless, his eyes cold. What? He slowly pulled out the blood blade on his back. The blue-clothed man shook his head. 1. The surrounding area immediately became blurry. Space and time were manipulated at the same time. Even though the white-clothed youth instantly created over 10,000 images, his head was still pierced by the blade. 7th level, failure. In the center of the island, the only person who could directly witness this scene, the watchman Bevan shook his head and sighed. Too arrogant, this Bolin is too arrogant. He's probably always been far ahead of others since he was young, far stronger than others. Hence he has an absolutely arrogant heart. With his comprehension of the space origin laws, during the genius battles, his comprehension of space had already surpassed many sector lords, even comparable to some undyings. His comprehension of space is so high. His talent is so high. In theory, the best way is to focus on space, spending all his time and energy, spending all his resources on the space origin laws. The strong are stronger. Using his own advantages. That way, he might have a chance to become a space knight. It's a pity. He's too arrogant. Hence, before the genius battles, he had already begun to study the wind space laws, using the wind as a springboard to study time. The most important choice in Primal Chaos City, choosing one of the 52 Primal Chaos tablets to train with, in theory, our virtual universe company has always respected the choices of every genius. However, back then, we still made an exception to converse with him, persuading him to spend all his time and energy on space. Choosing a tablet that focuses on space, like Luo Feng's 9 Universe tablet, is extremely suitable for Bolin. However, he's too arrogant. Extreme confidence, he doesn't listen at all. He still chose the hardest Universe Primal Chaos tablet. The watchman Bevan sighed. Many people felt regretful. What kind of terrifying talent was that? After Primal Chaos City's training, Luo Feng's Earth body could at most unleash a few hundred images. Bolin, on the other hand, was able to summon thousands of phantoms in the genius battle. If Bolin were to study the 9 Universe Primal Chaos tablet, he would probably be able to completely comprehend the raindrop diagram and drizzle diagram in an extremely short amount of time and directly study the rainstorm diagram. In terms of spatial innate talent, he was even more terrifying than Lien Luo. It was a pity those who were too talented would also have an overly arrogant heart. He's anxious. His arrogance is making him anxious. Finally, someone of his generation is starting to catch up to him. The watchman Bevan looked at the distant universe heavenly bridge and said softly, "He's probably never had a taste of such a feeling since he was young." The last time in Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng passed the 5th level and he immediately rushed to the 6th level. Fortunately, he succeeded. His pride is protected. However, this time, in a short 2 years, Luo Feng passed the 6th level. He's panicking again, rushing to the 7th level without any confidence. Unfortunately, I wasn't as lucky as last time. He failed. The 7th level is much, much harder than the 6th. He lost in one move. Failure! He's finally caught up. This may be a good thing for him. The watchman Bevan said softly, "Let's see if this Bolin will fall from grace. Or will it be because of Luo Feng's competition that he sees himself more clearly?" Yuxiang Mountain was still peaceful. Wuka, Rongjun, Luo Feng and the others didn't even know about Bolin's attempt to pass the 7th level and his failure. When Bolin suffered a huge setback, he could only silently endure it. Luo Feng's mood was extremely good. Absorbing the 2nd crystal successfully, comprehending the 12th wonder, and now passing the 6th level of the Heavenly Bridge. I'm really lucky. Luo Feng, his wife, father, mother, son and a large group of people were having a reunion dinner at Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-Star Bay. After which, he smiled and arrived at Fantasy Ocean. Fantasy Ocean, Luo Feng stood by the sea. His heart was like a mirror. Even a speck of dust that landed on it would be clearly visible. This state allowed one to see one's true self. It was because of this. He laughed when he should, raged when he should, and didn't hesitate to kill when he should. His heart was like a blade, causing him to be even more decisive and not procrastinate. I've been in the huge pit for 2 years. I've been suffering from the killing aura willpower that's getting stronger and stronger. Under such training, my willpower has become stronger and stronger. My control has also become stronger. Let's see what's the result of passing Fantasy Ocean's 10th island. Luo Feng smiled and rushed into the sky, swiftly flying into the ocean. Fantasy Ocean was currently the place where Luo Feng gained the most points. After passing the 9th island successfully, Luo Feng gained a huge amount of points. 51,100. Just the 9th island alone was 25,600 points, the 10th was 51,200 points, and the points for the Heavenly Bridge were pitifully little. Passing the 6th level was only 3,200 points. After all, there was no longer the 10 times reward from Primal Chaos City. Once he missed that reward, he would never get it again. This was also why when Luo Feng went to class, people wanted to exchange points with him. Fantasy Ocean and Heavenly Bridge were both hard to pass. It was just that Luo Feng's consciousness was sick, golden-horned beast's consciousness, and his willpower was terrifyingly strong, with the guidance of his 2 brothers, plus his own talent, hence he had such accomplishments in Fantasy Ocean. Fantasy Ocean's 10th island. So, Luo Feng descended from the sky, landing on one of the mountains on the 10th island that was only a few hundred meters tall. It's here. Luo Feng focused and looked up at the sky. Finally, the endless illusions along with a heart-palpitating pressure descended. This endless pressure was almost like a mountain that covered the land and skies, smashing down. Luo Feng's willpower control caused that consciousness to immediately condense, constantly compressing and condensing into a diamond. His consciousness and willpower as one, it could also be called the mental state. Rumble! The mountain of pressure came crashing down, smashing onto the incomparably condensed mind. The condensed mind only lasted for a moment before shattering with a loud bang and dissipating in an instant. The 10th island's pressure is simply too strong. Even though I've improved quite a bit these past 2 years, this bit of improvement, against the 10th island's pressure, it's still crushed. I still have to continue working hard. The 50,000 points on the 10th island isn't that easy to get. Luo Feng wasn't discouraged at all. Because he was different from Buran. Buran had always been number 1. However, Luo Feng had never been number 1 before. On Earth, He wasn't considered number one amongst the dojo students. After becoming a fighter, the most dazzling ones were Hong and Thunder God. Even after entering the elite training camp, Luo Feng still wasn't number one. And the genius battles, be it the elimination, universe country battles or the overall pinnacle battles, Luo Feng had never been number one before. Because he had never been number one. Hence to Luo Feng, failure was a chance to reflect on his failures. It allowed him to reflect on why he failed and learn from his mistakes to improve. One who had always been number one, the most dazzling genius of the universe genius battles. One who had never been number one. Even Babata, who was familiar with him, thought it would be hard for him to make it into the top 1,000. Right now they were neck and neck. Blood River Continent, the most mysterious and vast region, ancient god ruins. Huge pit quarters. I've been training in this huge pit for over 2 years. I've always been focused on training. Back when I first came, I was prepared to explore the bottom of the huge pit. However, I haven't done so in these 2 years. Luo Feng stood at the edge of the tunnel, looking at the endless aura and the endless abyss below. This was a terrifying huge pit. Just its outer diameter alone was close to 10,000 kilometers. And its depth? It had always been unknown. Let's take a good look and see what's inside. Luo Feng's thoughts move. A normal black stone beside the entrance immediately vanished into his internal world. This black stone was actually transformed from the Masha clansman. The Masha clansman had countless transformations. Its natural ability, clone, allowed its energy to transform into many different forms. Down. Luo Feng leapt down and followed the shocking gravity force below, descending continuously. Endless abyss, its diameter was already 10,000 kilometers. How deep was it? 5,000 kilometers. The wind howled beside his ears. Luo Feng continued to descend. He was shocked within. I've already descended 5,000 kilometers and I still haven't seen the bottom? The aura is still so thick. Who? Luo Feng's shocking speed of descent created a resistance force that finally reached equilibrium with the gravity force. He continued to descend at a stable speed. It changed? The thickness of the aura changed? The descending Luo Feng was shocked. This is about 9,000 kilometers deep. Kill. Endless killing aura willpower rushed into Luo Feng's consciousness. The strength of the attack was actually doubled. Not just the killing aura willpower, even the aura's thickness was doubled. Luo Feng continued to descend. This huge pit, just how deep is it? Luo Feng continued to descend deeper into the abyss. The thickness of the aura is gradually increasing. The deeper he descended, the more he felt it increase. Right now, it's already close to 3 times that of my huge pit quarters. He had already descended close to 15,000 kilometers. Not right. Luo Feng's expression changed. Shua. His entire being immediately stopped in the endless abyss. Luo Feng's expression was serious. He frowned. Weaker? The thickness of the aura has weakened? Since he started descending, from 9,000 kilometers, it had instantly become twice as strong. After which it continued to grow, until it reached 3 times as strong. That was the peak. Luo Feng continued to descend, only to find that the aura was weakening. The area with the strongest aura density is actually the center of the huge pit and not the bottom. Luo Feng was curious, after which he flew upwards, searching for the area with the highest aura density. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. He had recovered from the extreme fatigue from 2 days ago. Chapter 5:27. It's here. Luo Feng floated in mid-air, feeling the density of the aura around him. The higher I go, the lower the density. The lower it goes to. Luo Feng looked ahead. The red aura was slowly flowing. The depth he was at was where the aura was the thickest. However, the entire abyss was too vast, and he was just sticking to the side of the cliff. I'm at the edge of the abyss. How thick is the center? Luo Feng carefully flew towards the center of the endless aura, moving at about 100 kilometers per second as he got closer to the center. The density is rising, the aura density is actually rising again. 3, 5 times. 4 times. 4, 5 times. 5 times. 6 times. As he got closer to the center, the killing aura's density became more and more shocking. The killing intent that rushed into his consciousness also became more and more terrifying. It was as though countless killing demons were howling. The howls of the demons were either forceful or formless, constantly tempting Luo Feng's willpower. Too strong. Luo Feng stopped at the 7 times killing aura area, his expression slightly pale, squinting, his gaze like a blade, cold sweat beating on his forehead. This killing aura willpower is simply too terrifying. Endless killing aura willpower filled his consciousness, and compared to it, Luo Feng's willpower was much weaker. Even though it was weak, it was still very strong. Even though this killing aura willpower is still chaotic, with countless amounts of them mixed together, every one of them is extremely strong. Even though I can take it, I'll have to treat it seriously. Luo Feng's expression was serious. In the huge pit quarters, he was constantly being invaded by the killing aura willpower. However, that level of invasion, Luo Feng could still fully focus on studying the origin laws. However, now, 7 times the aura density, Luo Feng had to use most of his focus to defend against the invasion. I'll go all out, let's see how far I can go. Luo Feng slowly flew forward. His flying speed slowed, however the density rose even faster. The closer he got to the core, the more shocking it became. 8 times the density. Luo Feng suddenly stopped in midair. The aura before him was already as red as fresh blood, at a speed visible to the naked eye, constantly spinning into a whirlpool. Whirlpool core. Luo Feng glanced at the killing aura whirlpool 10 kilometers away. The killing aura at the core was so thick it made one's heart tremble, almost like a red sun. At the same time, the whirlpool core emitted an ancient and eternal energy. Even a formless enticement seeped into Luo Feng's soul. Come to me. That formless summoning permeated Luo Feng's consciousness. Get out! Luo Feng's consciousness let out a roar that shook the entire sea of consciousness. In an instant, the seduction that had invaded the depths of his consciousness was completely destroyed and crushed. You actually dare to tempt me? Luo Feng's eyes were sharp, staring at the whirlpool core. I can't go any closer. If I get any closer, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on. Luo Feng's expression was serious. Even though he immediately felt the temptation, he had to admit, the temptation of the whirlpool core was much more terrifying than the fantasy ocean's 9th island. Also, that crazy killing intent and willpower was close to Luo Feng's limit. At 7 times the concentration, he felt a lot of pressure. 8 times the density of baleful aura was indeed close to the limit. It was a pure contest of wills. One was Luo Feng's pure willpower, and the opponent's endless killing intent. At this time he was close to his limit. Luo Feng could indeed go all out, maybe he could even go a little deeper. However, he didn't dare take the risk. Because the moment he failed and the killing aura successfully invaded him, he would become a bloodthirsty madman. A true madman, a madman without reason, a madman without thought. That would be equivalent to death. When he was 10 kilometers away from the whirlpool core, Luo Feng chose to retreat. From the looks of it, my willpower isn't strong enough. Luo Feng looked at the blood-like whirlpool before him. If my big brother and second brother were here, I'd probably be able to go even deeper. Right. Whirlpool. The whirlpool core is the densest, the further one goes the thinner it gets. This whirlpool's spiral arm should be at a depth of 9,000 kilometers. Luo Feng simulated a huge whirlpool in his mind, an aura whirlpool with a radius of 1,000 kilometers. That depth of 9,000 kilometers was the outer edge of the whirlpool. Hence the concentration there was twice that of the huge pit quarters. Any further out and it would drop to one-fold. This abyss aura is the densest at the whirlpool core. I wonder just what that red sun-like core is. Luo Feng thought back to the formless temptation of the killing aura willpower that permeated his consciousness. He felt a strange sense of fear. I can't go deeper. At least not now. So, Luo Feng flew close to the wall of the abyss and stuck close to it for 100 m before descending towards the bottom of the huge pit. I want to see just how deep this huge pit is and what's at the bottom. Luo Feng continued to descend. 15,000 kilometers, 20,000 kilometers. The huge pit's depth obviously exceeded its width, and the killing aura at the bottom was almost the same as the aura in the huge pit quarters. Deep within the abyss, there was a protruding platform by the side of the mountain. On it sat a tall silhouette completely covered in bronze armor. Suddenly he opened his eyes and looked into the distance, simultaneously sending a thread of genetic energy to the bottom of the abyss. Lord, someone's coming. Cloud-level pinnacle strength, how do we deal with him? At the bottom of the abyss, the killing aura pervaded the area. Plants and weeds could be seen growing everywhere, and a blood-red palace stood at the bottom. Leave it to me. A rumbling voice swiftly resounded in the bronze armor's ears. Deep within the palace's second level, there were many sealed cages. Within the cages there were all sorts of strange mad roars. Occasionally there were sounds of metal clashing. However, these prisons were each approximately 10 meters tall and 10 meters wide. They were like sealed cube-shaped coffins. But at this moment, one of the prisons automatically opened. Inside this prison stood a valiant martial artist who was approximately 3 meters tall. His body was slightly hunched, and he carried 2 enormous machetes on his back. However, his hair was messy and his eyes were blood-red, without a trace of rationality. Howl, kill! He let out a low roar like a wild beast. Go, kill the one who disturbed the master's training. A voice resounded. So, the wild beast-like warrior became a beam of light and swiftly rushed out. Luo Feng gently landed, his boots landing on the bottom of the abyss. Moss-type plants. Luo Feng looked at the ground and surveyed his surroundings. This abyss was dead silent. Occasionally he could see some rocks. Obviously they fell from the higher parts of the walls. Don't tell me there's no life here at all? Luo Feng carried his curiosity and began to explore. Of course, he was still very cautious. Every step he took covered 10 kilometers, exploring this extremely vast abyss. Some parts of the abyss were sunken like canyons, some were protruding like mountains. After all, in terms of area, the area of this abyss was close to Earth's land area. There were thousands of meter-tall mountains, thousands to tens of thousands of meter-wide canyons. They could be seen everywhere. Looks like there's really nothing special here. Dead silence. Luo Feng turned and was about to leave. Suddenly his ears twitched. He could feel an energy swiftly approaching. Immediately that energy became very clear. HM? Luo Feng turned fiercely, staring into the distance. What a mad energy! It's not even trying to hide it. I can feel it from at least 1,000 kilometers away. From the energy, it shouldn't be too strong. Cloud level 9? Or domain level 1 or 2? Luo Feng placed his hand on the blade sheath on his back, simultaneously feeling the energy swiftly approach. Howl, a human silhouette swiftly appeared. A hunched warrior with messy hair appeared. His blood-red eyes were filled with madness and bloodlust, and he pulled out 2 giant machetes in his hands. He's gone mad. Luo Feng immediately deduced. In the killing aura environment, he finally couldn't resist the invasion of the killing aura willpower, and his consciousness was invaded. His entire being has become one that only knows how to kill. He's completely gone mad. Kill, kill. This mad demon savage let out a mad roar from his throat, simultaneously rushing towards Luo Feng. Since he's gone mad, pitiful person, I'll do a good deed and send you on your way. Luo Feng immediately pulled out his blood shadow blade. Clang! The blade was unsheathed, Luo Feng's entire being immediately became a blur, and that mad demon savage's blade slashed right into Luo Feng's blur. Rumble, the ground cracked open, a 1,000 m deep canyon was immediately slashed out, however that blur dissipated, obviously he had missed. Kill! The mad savage immediately turned and waved his blade. Dang! Coincidentally it collided with Luo Feng's blood shadow blade, causing Luo Feng's entire being to become a silver light, vanishing within the killing aura. What keen senses! Moreover, his saber technique has a faint feeling of the law of earth. I immediately got close and he was actually able to easily defend. This mad demon, before he went mad, he seemed to be a powerful warrior. Luo Feng retreated quickly and vanished, and that mad demon savage madly roared as he rushed over. Kill! Kill! Just the energy released by the two gigantic machetes was enough to shatter countless mountain rock. His pair of blood-red eyes scanned the surroundings. At the same time, his formless spirit energy spread out to search for Luo Feng. An incomparably beautiful blade light flashed. It was so beautiful it made one's heart tremble. Space seemed to freeze at this moment. This blade light was silver in color, and at the tip of the blade was threads of gold. Such a beautiful blade light bloomed. Chi! The blade light pierced through that mad demon savage's neck, after which a sharp blade light pierced into his body, directly hitting the life core, causing it to explode. Kill, kill, kill! The mad demon savage's head fell to the ground, his mouth moving slightly, unconsciously muttering the word kill. His neck was still spewing blood, simultaneously falling to the ground. Shua! Luo Feng's body condensed and stood there, looking at the corpse on the ground, silent. 2 chapters completed. The beginning of the month. Those with monthly votes please support me, thank you. Chapter 528. Fresh blood flowed on the moss, dyeing it red. The mad demon savage's body was still twitching on the ground. This killing aura is like a rose. It's beautiful yet filled with thorns. Luo Feng shook his head. The moment one can't withstand the killing aura willpower, one will truly become a mad demon, losing all rationality. It's no different from death. The books had long described that the ancient god ruins had attracted countless warriors from Blood River continent to enter. At any moment there would be many who couldn't withstand the killing aura willpower, losing their rationality and becoming mad demons. They only knew how to kill and were no different from wild beasts. However, to become strong, countless still rushed in. That's weird. Luo Feng frowned. This huge pit shouldn't be too big. It's estimated to be about 10,000 kilometers in diameter. And he has Domain Lord Level 1 strength. His flying speed is extremely fast. In theory, a mad demon whose intelligence is no different from a wild beast wouldn't stay here forever. Luo Feng was suspicious. If a cat was thrown into a house and the door wasn't closed, the cat wouldn't stay there forever. One theory. The huge pit, to a Domain Lord Level 1 mad demon, wasn't considered big. Did he become a mad demon in the pit? Such a coincidence. I haven't entered the pit for 2 years and the moment I did, I met a mad demon? Luo Feng felt that something wasn't right. He frowned as he looked at the red aura before him. A bronze-armored figure sat cross-legged on a protruding platform on the cliff wall of the giant pit. He opened his eyes and looked down. At the same time, he transmitted his voice. My lord, one of the blood demons is dead. Let me deal with this little guy. No need. A thick voice filled with killing aura resounded in his ears. At the bottom of the vast pit, a terrifying aura erupted from the blood-red palace. At the same time, a demonic blood-red stream of light shot out from the palace. The red aura emanated. Luo Feng's vision was shocking, but he could only see 10 kilometers away. Any further and he could only see blurry huge object. It's weird. However, I have the Masha clansmen. I have confidence in escaping. Be careful, I'll be fine. I want to see just what's at the bottom of this pit. Luo Feng hesitated before swiftly making his decision. However, the moment Luo Feng made his decision, a terrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate descended. Rumble, a powerful pressure. It was as if some ancient demon god had come into being. Not good. Luo Feng's expression changed and immediately rushed into the sky. Who? The surrounding 1,000 kilometers space immediately froze. It felt like he was in a swamp. The entire space immediately became an endless swamp. Luo Feng tried his best to fly upwards. However, the pressure from the frozen space caused his flying speed to decrease by over 1,000 times. The pressure was unbelievable. In front of me, you can't escape. A deep voice resounded in Luo Feng's ears and mind. Luo Feng's expression changed, looking at the sky ahead. An imposing figure hovered in the air. He wore a blood-red robe and had long, blood-red hair that reached his knees. His eyes were a strange blood-red. Just by standing there, he gave off the feeling that he was an endless sea of blood. That bloody aura made one's soul tremble. What a terrifying person! Luo Feng squinted. His willpower was incomparably firm, yet he was able to resist and not be affected by the opponent's energy. Me! Blood God Bachi. The tall blood-robed man stood in mid-air and said slowly, his voice reverberating throughout the huge pit, "You are not bad. Cloud-level pinnacle strength, you can actually kill a blood demon that I've raised that has just entered the domain level. Looks like you've already stepped into the gateway of the origin laws, and your attainment isn't low." Luo Feng was shocked within. Raised blood demon? That warrior from before that had already been invaded by the killing aura willpower and had completely become a mad demon, was actually raised? Right after becoming a mad demon, he no longer had any rationality, all he had was the instinct to kill. His intelligence had dropped to that of a wild beast. If one's strength was extremely strong, like taming a wild beast, it was indeed possible to control such a mad demon. However, mad demons usually only had the effect of massacring. Cloud-level pinnacle and you're able to reach such a high attainment in the origin laws. Breaking through the huge gap between cloud level and domain level, killing a blood demon. You are very outstanding, the blood-robed man in mid-air said slowly, even though it was a compliment. His voice was still loud and cold. I really admire you. You have two choices now. 1. Submit to my blood god, becoming a member of my blood god guards. From then on, I'll roam the endless world, and you'll be my most loyal subordinate. My blood god will become the most dazzling existence on Blood River continent, and you'll all obtain eternal glory. 2. Defy me, and die. The blood-robed man gazed at Luo Feng, causing him to be stunned. What was going on? He had just killed a mad demon, and in the blink of an eye, a powerful and terrifying being had appeared. From the looks of it, he was at least a sector lord level, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to force him to the point where he couldn't resist. And now this absolute warrior was forcing him to submit? He, a core member of the Virtual Universe Company, had to submit to a powerful warrior of Blood River World? Submit or die. The blood-robed man gazed at Luo Feng. I'll give you 10 breaths of time to make your decision. 10? The blood-robed man was completely blood-red, almost as though his eyes were filled with endless killing intent. That terrifying willpower completely descended and pressed down on Luo Feng, and Luo Feng was like a boulder under the pressure, forcefully withstanding it. 9, 8, 7. Almost like a god was enraged, the killing aura rippled about. Luo Feng felt the pressure around him getting more and more shocking, and the blood-robed man's killing intent was getting heavier and heavier. Luo Feng had no doubt that the moment he didn't make his decision, the enemy would kill him, because from the enemy's incomparably obvious willpower, he could tell. This was a warrior that had killed countless, and he was extremely proud and confident, not allowing anyone to defy him. 3. The voice grew colder, the blood-robed man's eyes gleamed coldly. Right now I have two choices. One is to immediately switch to the Masha Clansman with its instantaneous speed. I can immediately fly out and simultaneously enter the automaton ship. Using the automaton ship's speed, I immediately rushed into the sky and out of the 18th cloud level. The automaton ship is the pinnacle of E-grade ships. It's the ship of an automaton undying. This person before me, from my judgment, he shouldn't be an undying. I have 99% confidence I can escape. The second is to temporarily submit. Because he obviously thinks I'm a talent, at least my life isn't in danger. The first method, the moment I use the ship to escape, it'll be equivalent to revealing that I'm an outsider. This will cause the true ruling class of Blood River Continent to chase after me, and I won't be able to return. Also, the ancient god ruins will help me absorb the crystals, and I want to get more. The moment I leave, I'll lose my chance. Immediately, many thoughts flashed through Luo Feng's mind. 2. The blood-robed man's aura was changing. Lord! Luo Feng knelt on one knee, using the most standard greeting of a subordinate to his superior. He shouted respectfully. Immediately the blood-robed man in mid-air revealed a rare smile, looking at Luo Feng with satisfaction. Very good, your talent should be within the top 3 of my blood god guards. I like people with good talent and know how to choose. From now on, you are the 97th blood god guard under my command. So. Suddenly the sky was filled with silhouettes that broke through the skies. Some shot over from afar, some descended swiftly from above. In a blink of an eye, a total of 96 bronze-armored silhouettes stood on the ground. This group of bronze-armored silhouettes all had powerful auras. The weakest was a domain-level being, and there were even some that surpassed domain level. In unison, these 96 bronze-armored silhouettes all knelt on one knee, saying respectfully, "Congratulations, Lord, congratulations, Lord." Ha 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 ha. The blood-robed man laughed loudly. Number 1, you'll be in charge of teaching 97. The blood-robed man laughed loudly, after which he became a blood-red beam of light and swiftly vanished. Luo Feng looked at the 96 bronze-armored silhouettes that suddenly appeared. He was shocked, at the same time, with his powerful consciousness and perception. He could immediately deduce that of the 96 before him, 94 of them were Domain Lord, domain level, and 2 of them were actually Sector Lord, world level. 97. A tall bronze-armored warrior walked over and said with a smile, "Welcome to our Blood God Guard. You are the only cloud level of our Blood God Guard." Just what is this Blood God Guard, and also, who is our Lord? Luo Feng was curious, asking. Haha, this tall warrior had an obvious difference from the other Blood God Guards, that was his armor had blood-red markings. Out of all the Blood God Guards, only 2 had blood-red markings on their armor. The 2 of them were both Sector Lords. The man before him was also one of the 2 Sector Lords of the Blood God Guard. Our Lord is the greatest genius of the Undying Shrine in 1,000,000,000 years. The tall warrior's voice was resounding, filled with pride. In the Undying Shrine, our Lord's position isn't any lower than the other Undyings. The other bronze-armored silhouettes were all filled with excitement and worship. If our Lord is willing, he can break through to Undying in a short time. The tall warrior said proudly, however, our Lord isn't satisfied with such little achievements. Do you know our Lord has already absorbed 8 crystals? What 8? Luo Feng stared wide-eyed. My God! Absorbing 10 crystals would allow one to become the legendary Black Warrior. It was said that that was only a legend. The tall warrior was very satisfied with Luo Feng's shock, nodding, right? Our Lord's goal is to become a legendary Black Warrior. To be able to become a member of our Blood God Guard, you should feel proud. Because there are countless people in Blood River Continent who wish to join us, yet they can't even get our Lord's recognition. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. Chapter 529. Becoming a Black Warrior must be very hard, right? Luo Feng was curious and asked. I've read in the books that becoming a black warrior is just a legend. There seems to be some hope for the blood warrior. Of course. The tall blood god guard laughed loudly. Black warrior, that is the pride of our blood river continent. It takes countless years for one to be born. It's been a very long time since there has been one. After all, after absorbing blood river crystals, every additional crystal would increase the body's requirements by 10 times. And every person's body had a limit. Once it reached a certain point, even the killing intent of the ancient god ruins wouldn't have any effect on the human body. When that time comes, there'll really be no hope. Luo Feng was shocked. Limit? Right, he had only absorbed 2 crystals, and his body was still improving under the killing aura. However, the body still had its limit. When that time comes, no matter how long he stayed in the ancient god ruins, it would be useless. Let's hope my body can take it longer. Luo Feng thought. Come, 97. Let me introduce you. The tall blood god guard walked towards the others. I'm the captain of the blood god guards, number 1. You can call me captain from now on. This is number 2, the vice captain. 97. 97, how do you do? The bronze-armored warriors walked over to greet Luo Feng. Because they were all clear that the blood god guards were the most important and personal guards of the blood god Baki. They were his arms. In the future, this group would live and die together. Hence they had to get to know each other and get to know each other. After all, they would be life and death brothers. 97, you're the youngest. So young. Haha, 73, don't look down on 97. This 97 is the only one among us that was accepted as a cloud level. You bunch of fellows, 97 killed a blood devil, you know? According to the levels of the outsiders, that was a domain lord level 1 blood demon. The blood god guard captain number 1 laughed loudly. The energy difference was 10 times. That blood demon too had stepped through the gateway of the origin laws. However, 97 still won so easily. In terms of origin law comprehension, most of us can't even compare to 97. Immediately the group of blood god guards looked shocked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was shocked within. First, he was shocked that this captain knew about the first stage of the domain lord realm. Second, he knew that he had won in a clean manner, and that the blood demon had stepped into the threshold of the laws. That lord didn't go into detail at all. Looks like my battles before were all observed by him. Luo Feng thought, that's right, him and the vice leader and that blood god Baki. These 3 were all at the realm lord level. Sector lords are able to use world energy. World energy is mysterious and unfathomable. It's normal that my earth body couldn't discover it. 97. Captain Ai looked at Luo Feng. From now on, we are all life and death brothers. We are all part of the blood god guards. HM. Luo Feng nodded. Haha. Come, follow me. Captain Ai looked at the others. All of you, return to your respective places. Do whatever you need to do. Yes, Captain. Understood, Captain. Xiao Mo, I'm back to chat with you. As the group of bronze figures spoke, they turned into streams of light and flew in all directions. Captain Ai led Luo Feng to the bottom of the huge pit, saying as he walked, the ancient god ruins is the most ancient and mysterious place of Blood River Continent. Back then, the ancient warriors of Blood River Continent used this place to defend against the invasions of the alien races. The strength of the alien races is something you can't even imagine. Luo Feng was shocked. Just how strong are the alien races? I don't know either. Ai shook his head. Anyway, they're terrifyingly strong. Think about it, back then many undyings fell in the ancient god ruins. You'll know how tragic the battles were. Let's not talk about the alien races. Let me remind you now, the ancient god ruins. Don't wander around the ancient god ruins alone. Ai said solemnly, my lord is currently cultivating in this palace at the bottom of the pit. We, the blood god guards, are responsible for protecting my lord and killing enemies for him. Since he's training, naturally we'll follow and train in the ancient god ruins. Luo Feng nodded. Training in the ancient god ruins was a good thing. However, there are many dangerous places in the ancient god ruins. This huge pit is just one of them. Ai pointed at the sky. Above, in the center of this huge pit, there's an aura whirlpool. The aura within the whirlpool is terrifyingly strong. The killing aura there is simply unbearable. It's too terrifying. Whirlpool. Luo Feng was even more curious. In truth, he had already scanned it before. At the bottom and the top, the aura is already very thick. Ai exclaimed. However, the closer you get to the whirlpool, the thicker it gets. It said, at the core, the density is close to 10 times that of the bottom. Close to 10 times. Luo Feng was truly shocked. Before, he had reached the 8 times region and could already see the whirlpool core with his naked eye. However, he didn't dare continue. Ai emphasized. It's extremely dangerous there. Even with my willpower, I can only reach the 5 times region at most. It said, our Lord can reach the 7 times region. 7 times. Luo Feng thought. He was still weaker than himself. To be able to reach 7 times that blood god Baki, to be able to be called the genius of Blood River Continent in 1 trillion years, it was indeed true. After all, in terms of willpower, he was much stronger than many Sector Lord Pinnacle warriors. Hence, you have to be careful. Ai emphasized. The moment you rush in, you'll be invaded by the killing aura willpower. You'll become like the blood demon you killed before. Luo Feng nodded. This huge pit is one of the most dangerous places in the ancient god ruins. There are millions of such places in the ruins. They're all incomparably dangerous. They're where the killing aura gathers. Ai exclaimed. There are also some dangerous places that probably haven't been discovered in countless years. Anyway, recklessly entering will be disastrous. Luo Feng was shocked. There were millions of such places? Follow me to the palace. Ai became a beam of light. Luo Feng followed. Luo Feng looked at the red aura palace. It was about 1 kilometer long and wide, with a total of 7 levels. Enter. Ai entered the palace and Luo Feng followed. Very quickly they reached the 2nd level. Luo Feng's ears twitched. He looked at the distant room. That room's door was open and a weak roar resounded from within. Ai looked at Luo Feng and explained, that's where the blood demons are raised. Luo Feng nodded. The blood demon was a martial artist who had gone mad. Our blood god guards live on the 3rd level. After Captain Ai came to the 3rd floor, he walked along the corridor and pointed to both sides of the corridor that was more than 10 meters wide. Every room on the side has a code number, from 1 to 200. Right now, the first 96 are occupied, and your room is 97. Palace Level 3, Room 97. The door automatically opened. A green light shone on Luo Feng, who had just entered the room. This is? Luo Feng was shocked. No need to be shocked, this is the quantum computer that manages the entire palace. Ai smiled. These quantum computers are from the ancient god ruins battle back then. They acquired some technology from the outsiders. However, manufacturing quantum computers is extremely difficult. Even in the Undying Shrine, only the upper echelons have them. Luo Feng had an envious expression. Quantum computers? There were many of them in the universe, one could buy as much as they wanted. His was an AI life form that was countless times higher. Room 97 was 20 m tall and 30 m wide. This is one of your origin power battlesuit. Ai pointed at a pile of items on the floor. This type of genetic energy armor, when worn, will vary according to your genetic energy level. At the same time, it can change according to your will, sealing off all vital points. Even if it breaks, it can swiftly repair. It's a very advanced armor. In Blood River Continent, only a few have them. Luo Feng stared at the bronze armor. That's a communication device. Ai pointed at a wrist guard beside. Wearing it, you can communicate with the other blood god guards and also with the Lord. At the same time, the Lord will know where you are through the communication device. Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat. Communication device? Surveillance device. The Lord has orders, if there's a blood god guard, without the Lord's orders, to be more than 100,000 kilometers away from him. Betraying him is a death sentence. Ai stared at Luo Feng and emphasized. You must remember, the moment you betray the Lord, with his position in the Undying Shrine, you will have nowhere to run in Blood River Continent. Understood. Luo Feng nodded. Dong. Luo Feng felt the floor of the palace tremble. Dong. Dong. Sounds of trembling resounded. It was a very heavy sound, almost like a giant was approaching the room step by step. Huh! Captain Ai was startled and hurriedly left the room. Luo Feng too followed him out of the room and into the corridor. With a glance, he saw that ahead of the 10 m wide corridor, there was a 12 m tall, 20 m long four-hooved beast. At first glance, it looked similar to the cow-type life forms on Earth. Its entire body was muscled like steel, and the two curved horns on its head were charging forward. Its hooves that were as thick as a water tank were thick and powerful. Its entire body was bronze in color and its eyes were blood red. The strangest thing was its horns, they were so sharp it made one's heart palpitate. Just by walking along the corridor, the horns tore through the air and caused tremors. Lord Qin Yo. Ai bowed. This 4-story tall wild beast. Qin Yo gazed at Luo Feng, a ferocious aura emanating from it. He's the new 97? Yes, Lord Qin Yo. Ai said, simultaneously communicating to Luo Feng. 97, this wild beast Qin Yo, in terms of strength, he's even stronger than the Lord. His position in the Undying Shrine is very high too. He's like a brother to the Lord. Luo Feng was shocked. Monday, he pulled down the recommendation vote. Chapter 530. Wild beasts had very low positions on Blood River Continent. Some were tamed as mounts, others were killed and harvested. Anyway, the wild beasts were always suppressed by the humans. A wild beast Qin Yo actually has such a high position in the Undying Shrine? Even if it's strong, it's after all not undying. To have such a high position in the Undying Shrine, that's unbelievable. The Undying Shrine, that's the highest authority of Blood River Continent. Luo Feng was shocked within, simultaneously bowing respectfully to the wild beast Qin Yo in the corridor. Lord Qin Yo. The wild beast Qin Yo stood in the corridor, looking down at the little guy before him. A hot energy spat out from Qin Yo's nostrils, almost like 2 waves of heat. Its blood-red eyes stared at Luo Feng. Rumble. In an instant, it was as though the land and skies were collapsing. A formless pressure immediately affected Luo Feng's soul, almost like a heavy hammer smashing into his soul. Luo Feng couldn't help but snort softly, sweat beaded on his forehead. However, he endured it and stood there, his back straight, obviously unwilling to yield. Lord Qin Yo. Captain Ah One shouted, 97 is still cloud level. HM. A low voice resounded from Qin Yo's nostrils, following which the pressure finally vanished. This 97, not bad. Qin Yo's rumbling voice resounded. I think it can withstand strong killing aura too. Here are 2 Blood River crystals. This is a gift from me, Lord Qin Yo, to you. Absorb well. After you're done, come find me for the 3rd. 2 prismatic crystals suddenly appeared in mid-air and floated towards Luo Feng. As they floated, the blood-red crystals were so beautiful it was mesmerizing. Blood River crystals? Luo Feng's eyes gleamed, extending his hand to receive the crystals. Hurry and thank Lord Qin Yo. The captain said. Thank you, Lord Qin Yo. Luo Feng bowed. HM. Qin Yo spat out 2 streams of hot air from his nostrils. He snorted and then slowly stepped out with his thick hooves. When his hooves landed, Qin Yo was already at the far end of the corridor. Then, he disappeared. This desolate beast Qin Yo has such a strong pressure and strength. The Blood God Guard captain said that the desolate beast Qin Yo is stronger than Blood God Baki. It should be true. Luo Feng watched as the wild beast Qin Yo vanished. Within, he was filled with glee as he looked at the Blood River crystals in his hands. These 2 crystals should be the easiest to get. Before in Swallow Mound City, he had acquired 14 crystals, Rock Wind Xiong and his brother 3, Pure Feather Tao 1, the Undying Shrine Envoy 10. After which, he was ambushed by 4 geniuses from the Undying Shrine in the ancient god ruins. Luo Feng killed one of them and acquired a Blood River crystal from him. A total of 15 crystals. Every single one of them was obtained through slaughter. Only the 2 in his hand, 97, as long as you can absorb it, Qin Yo can provide you with as many crystals as you want. Beside, the tall and majestic bronze-ranked fighter number 1 laughed. Right now, within our Blood God Guards, there are only 5 who have successfully absorbed 3 crystals and become blood warriors. I have high hopes for you. Luo Feng nodded, following which he asked curiously, "These crystals, how many do you have?" "Of course not." The captain number 1 smiled and shook his head. "The Blood River crystals are the treasures of our Blood River continent. However, the number of crystals each person can absorb is very, very few. Countless years on Blood River continent. It's been a long time since a black warrior has been able to absorb 10 crystals. Lord Qin Yo, just the amount of crystals provided to our Blood God Guards is naturally more than enough." "Ah." Luo Feng nodded. It sounded like Blood God Baki's power. The person in charge of collecting and distributing the crystals was actually that wild beast Qin Yo. "You know everything." Number 1 nodded. "Right now, you can either train in your training room within the palace, or find a place outside to train alone. It's fine. You are here to be a guard, not a prisoner. However, the only requirement you should know, right? 100,000 kilometers without permission, you cannot stray 100,000 kilometers from the Lord." Luo Feng smiled. "Very good." Number 1 nodded and left immediately. Palace Level 3, Training Room 97. Luo Feng wore the bronze armor and the wrist communicator, shaking his head. "This communicator is really simple, a simple communication system and positioning system. In terms of technology, it's about the same as the communicator watches back on Earth." Blood God Baki, Wild Beast Qin Yo, 96 Blood God Guards. Luo Feng's mind swiftly went through many thoughts. According to the information I've gathered so far, Blood God Baki is a Sector Lord Pinnacle. Absorbing 8 crystals, he's an absolute genius that appears once in a trillion years in the Undying Shrine. His position is extremely high. Wild Beast Qin Yo, his strength is even stronger than Baki. He's a good brother with Baki. He should be the second most powerful person in this power. 96 Blood God Guards, all of them extremely talented, formed from 2 Sector Lords and 94 Domain Lords. Right now in the ancient god ruins, the main reason is because Blood God Baki is training. Luo Feng instantly understood why he hadn't found any practitioners at the bottom of the pit during the 2 years he had been in the residence of the huge pit. It was because Blood God Baki was training in seclusion, and the other Blood God Guards didn't dare to wander around. From the looks of it, even though I've become a Blood God Guard, from now on, it should be easier. Luo Feng was dressed in bronze armor and boot. Just as he was about to walk out, suddenly 5 silhouettes walked in. 97. 97. These 5 were all dressed in bronze armor. They were all tall and skinny Blood God Guards, all smiling and waving. 12, 19, 33, 78, 83. Luo Feng shouted with familiarity. "We were in the training room just now and noticed Lord Qin Yo coming over." The skinny youth like 12 smiled. According to the old rules, Lord Qinyo should have given you 2 crystals, right? Luo Feng nodded. 97. Have you absorbed any crystals before? Beside, the extremely fat and sturdy 19 asked loudly. I've absorbed one, Luo Feng said. These 5 guards chatted casually with Luo Feng. Luo Feng also made up his story. The group chatted for a while, and after half an hour, the 5 were prepared to leave. Before leaving, 12 reminded seriously, 97, remember, when you meet Qinyo, you have to respectfully call him Lord Qinyo. Right? You can't be disrespectful. Whoever dares to be disrespectful, Lord Qinyo will be enraged. The handsome 83 said. Luo Feng asked curiously, I actually don't understand, how can Qinyo's strength be stronger than Lord Blood God? Haha, wild beasts are split into 4 grades. A grade 1 wild beast is only earth level, a grade 2 wild beast is sky level, a grade 3 wild beast is cloud level, and a grade 4 wild beast is domain level. 12 said quickly and straightforwardly, and the wild beast Qinyo is a level 4 beast, it naturally has the gold domain. The higher the grade, the stronger the bloodline, the more outstanding the body. You should know, this blood river crystal, as long as it's a blood and flesh type life form, it can use it. Not just us humans, these wild beasts too can absorb the crystal. 12 smiled. Luo Feng felt as though his mind was struck by lightning. Flesh and blood life forms could use it? Haha, 97, you don't seem to know? 97. The 83 blood god guard exclaimed, compared to humans, their bodies are stronger and more outstanding. Wild beasts have stronger and more outstanding bodies. Usually, they can absorb crystals that surpass us humans. And according to the Undying Shrine's experience, beasts that specialize in the gold element have an advantage in absorbing the crystals. Qinyo is the highest level beast, a level 4 beast, and it specializes in the gold element. Hence, every Qinyo can absorb at least 3 crystals, and some of the more outstanding Qinyo could even absorb 10 crystals. 83 exclaimed, Our Lord Qinyo has absorbed 12 crystals. Plus he is at the pinnacle of the Sector Lord realm, hence he has terrifying strength. Luo Feng stood there stunned. Silence. 97? 97, what's wrong? The other 5 shouted. Luo Feng awoke, exclaiming, I'm too shocked. From the books I've read, there hasn't been a black warrior in countless years. They've already become a legend. I didn't expect Lord Qinyo to actually absorb 12 crystals. Humans and wild beasts are different. Jealousy can't do anything about it. Luckily there are very few level 4 beasts. The 5 exclaimed. Right. Luo Feng agreed from the side. Finally, the 5 were about to leave. When the 5 left, only Luo Feng was left in the training room. Luo Feng slammed the door shut, his face filled with glee. My God! My God! I'm such an idiot, such an idiot. I didn't even think of this. Luo Feng's expression was filled with glee. Clenching his fists, he roared madly within, Flesh and blood life forms can absorb the crystals, flesh and blood life forms. Right, the crystals use blood as a medium to change the body's genes. Humans are flesh and blood life forms. The golden horned beast too. Luo Feng was extremely excited. My earth body has a hard time absorbing the crystals. However, what about the golden horned beast? As they said before, the higher the level, the more outstanding the body's genes are, and the easier it is to absorb. Especially those that specialize in the gold element. Even though I don't know why being proficient in the gold element gives one an advantage in absorbing the crystals. However, the golden horned beast, this is the pinnacle of bloodline in the universe. When it matures, it's a Sector Lord pinnacle. It's born with 3 natural talents and is most proficient in the gold element. It's the darling of the universe gold laws. Luo Feng was extremely excited. Compared to the golden horned beast, that Qinyo is just trash. Even the wild beast Qinyo could absorb 12 crystals. How many can my golden horned beast absorb? Haha, Luo Feng couldn't suppress the glee within. He had a feeling that the golden horned beast was originally his strongest killer move. However, absorbing the crystals, it might bring a new change to the already incomparably strong golden horned beast. Chapter 531. Third level of the palace. Luo Feng, who was wearing the bronze battle uniform, swiftly left the training room and quickly exited the main entrance of the palace. To the huge pit quarters. Luo Feng looked up at the sky, the red aura emanated, and he rushed into the sky. So, the huge pit was extremely deep. Luo Feng continued to fly upwards. 97. 97. Two voices resounded in Luo Feng's mind, causing him to stop and float in mid-air. To be able to detect him without him noticing, other than Baki and Qinyo within the palace, only the two captains of the Blood God Guards would be able to do so. Luo Feng surveyed his surroundings and floated in mid-air, saying respectfully, "Captain, Vice Captain." 97. Where are you preparing to train? A thick voice resounded in the space around Luo Feng. Captains, the past 2 years I've been training in a cave above the mountain. Luo Feng explained, hence, I'm preparing to train there. 97. This high-altitude region is for me and number 2 to monitor. The voice continued, it's safer for you to train below. Of course, the Lord has orders not to go beyond 100,000 kilometers. You can go to your cave, however, we won't be able to monitor and protect your safety there. The two captains of the Blood God Guards were both sector lords. The two of them released their world energy to scan their surroundings. While training, they had to scan their surroundings. However, the range was limited. The moment there's any danger, I'll immediately come down. Luo Feng said respectfully. Since you insist, then go. Yes. Luo Feng bowed respectfully and immediately rushed into the sky. Deep in the huge pit, on a platform beside the mountain, a tall bronze silhouette sat cross-legged and communicated. This 97's talent is indeed very high, the Lord values him highly. However, the most important thing in becoming a Blood God Guard is loyalty. Number 2, from what I can feel, this 97 hasn't completely submitted to the Lord. Number 1. A voice resounded from the other end of the huge pit close to 10,000 kilometers away from the platform. Geniuses are always full of confidence. To make him completely submit isn't easy. He only submitted under the Lord's coercion. We'll watch for now. The time the Lord spends training here is the time to observe him. If he has other thoughts, it won't be too late to kill him. Yes, you're right. We'll kill them after we find sufficient evidence. The two sector lords were separated by tens of thousands of kilometers. They transmitted their voices to each other and made a decision. Even though the Blood God Guards treated Luo Feng quite well, the Blood God Guards were Blood God Baki's most important guards. Loyalty and strength were both indispensable, and Luo Feng obviously hadn't gained the true recognition of the guards, especially the two sector lords. They had special privileges. The right to supervise and punish other Blood God Guards. In the ancient god ruins, in the residence of the huge pit, a green light flowed through the hole and formed. It was Luo Feng dressed in a bronze armor. Luo Feng was filled with excitement as he sat on the stone chair. This communication bracelet is also monitoring me. Luo Feng lowered his head to look at the wrist guard. Over 100,000 kilometers, or removing the wrist guard, would attract the Blood God's attention. However, since there's no danger, and there are benefits, there's no need for me to leave. Just be a Blood God Guard for the time being. Luo Feng smiled and flipped his hand. A space ring and a black stone appeared in his palm. The black stone was formed by the Masha clansmen, and within the space ring were 15 Blood River crystals. He had acquired 14 in Swallow Mound City. Killing the Undying Shrine Genius gave him 1, and the wild beast Qinyo gave him 2 before. And his earth body had already absorbed 2, he was left with 15. Let's begin. Luo Feng muttered within. Shwa. The moment the black stone touched the space ring, it immediately vanished from his palm and entered his internal world. Internal world. The skies were shrouded in endless golden mist. On this vast continent it was all gold. Only one continuous mountain range was black, and this black mountain range was at least 10 kilometers long. Shwa. The black stone appeared beside the black mountain range, following which it transformed into a black-clothed Luo Feng. In his palm was a ring, it was the one with the 15 blood river crystals. Right now in the internal world, only Luo Feng's 3 bodies items wouldn't be destroyed. And all other life forms, non-life forms, would all be destroyed. Whether it was swallowing life forms or other materials, they would all be destroyed. If it was too much and he couldn't digest it, the internal world would explode. 15 blood river crystals, what a mysterious blood river crystal. It's a pity only flesh and blood life forms can absorb it. Masha Luo Feng looked at the space ring on his hand. The Masha clansman, I can't absorb it anymore. Rumble. The black mountain range beside suddenly moved. It stood up completely. This was a beast whose body length alone reached 60 kilometers. Its 4 claws, every one of them was at least 6 kilometers thick, and the thinnest part of the claws was at least 3 kilometers thick. It was simply like 4 heavenly pillars. Any one of its claws was even taller than the Himalayas. That cold, dark golden eyes, every pupil was comparable to a large lake, almost like 2 dark golden suns staring below. Terrifying. Even I feel that the golden horned beast is terrifying. Masha Luo Feng looked up at the golden horned beast and muttered, there are large amounts of life forms in the universe, and every form is split into countless races. Amongst all the life forms, the golden horned beast is at the pinnacle. Just this body alone and its terrifying strength, pure brute force, it can easily kill human warriors 2 or 3 levels above. Along with its natural abilities, right now it's also training deities of the world. Even if my Masha clansman meets the golden horned beast, he can only flee. Masha Luo Feng muttered. Compared to the golden horned beast, maybe he could assassinate the Masha clansman, but in a head-on battle, it was much weaker. The golden horned beast's innate powerful body and natural abilities made it incomparably powerful. How? That huge black mountain-like golden horned beast raised its head and let out a low roar. The roar shook the land and skies, after which it extended its right claw. Masha Luo Feng took out a blood river crystal and placed it on its claw. The golden horned beast's eyes were like 2 suns as it stared at the blood river crystal on its claws. Following which, sharp claws shot out from its claws. With a clench, those sharp claws slashed across the palm of its right hoof. Immediately, numerous black scales were sliced apart and fresh blood seeped out. The golden horned beast carefully used its spirit energy to control the crystal. The crystal gently moved over the wound. The wound was at least 10 m long, and as the crystal fell into the wound, a formless energy swiftly entered the golden horned beast's body. Rumble. Kill. Kill. The killing aura willpower rushed into its body. The golden horned beast's willpower was Luo Feng's willpower. It was condensed like a boulder, like a blade. This bit of killing aura willpower couldn't even shake it. Chi threads of blood energy flowed out of the crystal, flowing through the wound of the right claw and swiftly entering the depths of the golden horned beast's bones and muscles. Immediately the right claw began to transform. The scales and claws were constantly changing, even the bones and muscles within were changing, everything was so familiar. In a short while everything ended. Absorbing the first crystal, success. What's going on? How can this be? His spirit energy carefully inspected every part of the golden horned beast's body. He was incredibly shocked. How can only the right claw have a change? The golden horned beast lowered its head too, its dark golden pupils carefully inspecting its right claw. It had just absorbed a blood river crystal, but it was completely different from a human absorbing a blood river crystal. The mysterious energy within the crystal only caused the golden horned beast's right claw to have some special changes, and the other parts of the golden horned beast's body, like its torso, wings, other 3 claws, tail, head, they all didn't change at all. Damn, it can't be? Don't tell me! Standing beside the golden horned beast, Masha Luo Feng looked at the huge mountain-like golden horned beast. His eyes gleamed. Don't tell me it's because its body is too big? A bucket of water is enough for one person to bathe. However, a lake's water is only enough for the golden horned beast to bathe. I think that's the theory. The golden horned beast's body is too big, its bones, muscles, cells etc. are too many to make all the bones, muscles and skin change. The amount of crystal energy required is huge. Hence, one crystal can only cover the right claw. It can't even reach the elbow. Luo Feng guessed. Rumble. The golden horned beast waved its right claw, activating the blood river energy within. A simple blood red engraving appeared on the right claw. Its control over the universe energy became even clearer. Chi. With a swipe of the claw, the ground was immediately torn apart, creating a 10 kilometers long ravine. It's indeed easier. This claw's power has increased by 20 to 30%. Since that's the case, if I absorb the other claws below, I think the other claws or tail will only increase by 20 to 30%. Since that's the case, why not make the strong even stronger? Luo Feng immediately made his decision. Continue absorbing the second crystal. Make the strong stronger. Make the advantage even greater. Black-clothed Luo Feng placed the crystal in the palm of the golden horned beast's right claw. The golden horned beast's incomparably huge dark golden eyes stared hard at the palm, after which it once again used its claws to cut through the scales. Chi. The scales were cut and fresh blood seeped out, once again touching the crystal. Everything was as Luo Feng had expected. After the killing aura willpower attack was resisted, the blood threads of mysterious energy poured into the right claw, immediately starting to deeply change the bones, muscles and scales of the right claw. The range of these changes was exactly the same as the first time the crystal's energy spread. Just the right claw, it didn't even reach the elbow area. When all the changes were over, the golden horned beast once again activated the mysterious energy in the right claw, simultaneously waving its right claw. Right claw, compared to before the absorption, its power has increased by about 50%. It's exactly the same as before when a human absorbed the crystal. The only difference is, when a human absorbs the crystal, it covers the entire body. And the golden horned beast only changed its right claw. Continue. Absorb the third crystal. Absorbing the third to be called a blood warrior, there should be some special changes. Luo Feng anticipated. P.S. The second chapter has ended, continue writing the third. Chapter 532. The third crystal rested on the scales of the right claw. As the black scales were sliced open by the sharp claws, fresh blood flowed through the crystal and once again the absorption began. The golden horned beast's huge head looked down at its right claw, looking at it expectantly. The pain caused by the huge change in the right claw, with the golden horned beast's biological characteristics, it could completely control the range of the pain. In a short while, the third crystal completely disappeared, merging into the right claw. Activate! The golden horned beast activated the mysterious energy hidden within its right claw. Immediately a blood red engraving appeared on the scales of its claw. When it absorbed the first crystal, the engravings were very simple and sparse. When it absorbed the second, it was more complicated and the range was doubled. Right now it had already absorbed 3, and the engravings on the scales had increased by a lot. And these engravings seemed to form a whole. It was perfect. Rumble! The right claw fiercely waved in mid-air, activating the universe gold origin laws. With a swipe, a formless energy rippled out. The terrifying shockwave immediately caused the distant mountain range to explode, large amounts of metal pieces flying everywhere. Compared to before, my senses have doubled. My compatibility with the universe origin laws has also doubled. The golden horned beast couldn't help but raise its head and roar. The Masha clansman, even though his comprehension was low, the power he could unleash was very strong. The golden horned beast, however, didn't have such ability. The reason the golden horned beast's attacks were strong was because of its natural abilities, naturally strong body and deities of the world, etc. And while it may have had some advantage in comprehension, during battle, it was unable to unleash the origin laws that far exceeded its comprehension. And now, its comprehension of the gold origin laws and the other origin laws had doubled. Even its power during battle had doubled. Even though it can't compare to the Masha clansman's 10 times increase, it's still intrepid. Comprehension has doubled, power has doubled. Luo Feng was excited. After absorbing 3 crystals, one would become a blood warrior. A blood warrior's comprehension was twice as high as a normal person's, and their power during battle would double. I'll continue absorbing the 4th. The blood river crystal's functions were simply too heavenly. As one's comprehension increased, so did one's power. Even though each crystal didn't increase by much, when accumulated, it was still a ridiculous amount. One must know that the Masha clansmen and other special races in the universe were all special abilities of those races. The golden horned beast walked the path of violence. The Masha clan's doppelganger specialized in spatial assassination. As for the blood river crystal, it could raise one's comprehension of the origin laws, making one feel like a fish in water. I really don't know how these crystals are formed. The golden horned beast continued to absorb the 4th crystal, still on its right claw. This time, when it activated the mysterious energy in its right claw, the blood-red engravings on its right claw increased by a little. However, this time, its comprehension level was slightly higher, and its power was slightly higher too. The improvement was not obvious, and it was far less obvious than when he fused with the first 3. Let's continue with the 5th one. After fusing with the 5th one, once he activated that mystical power, the blood-red mysterious patterns on his right claw became even more complicated. His compatibility with the origin of the universe and his ability to use it all improved. The 6th one. The 7th one. The 8th one. Luckily I have enough blood river crystals. That undying shrine envoy gave me 10, otherwise the golden horned beast wouldn't even be able to absorb 10. Black-clothed Luo Feng stood at the side, watching as the incomparably huge golden horned beast began to absorb the 10th crystal. Absorbing 10 crystals, if it was a human, that would be a black warrior. Black warriors were a legend in Blood River Continent. They belonged to the pinnacle of humans absorbing crystals. I wonder what will happen when the golden horned beast absorbs 10 crystals. Let's begin. Chi. The golden horned beast's sharp claws slashed across the scales on its right claw. The scales were cut and the 10th incomparably beautiful crystal laid on its palm. It was immediately controlled by spirit energy to land on the wound. The moment the blood and the crystal touched, the absorption began and an even crazier killing aura willpower was produced. The killing aura willpower from absorbing 10 crystals is very ordinary. It doesn't affect me at all. It's far from being able to compare with the killing aura whirlpool willpower. The changes to my bones and muscles, even though it's very painful now, I'm still enduring it. Ah! The golden horned beast let out an incomparably painful cry. Howl! Howl! The howl shook the skies. Damn! Black-clothed Luo Feng was in so much pain that he knelt down on one knee. Within the huge pit quarters, the earth-body Luo Feng too clenched his fists and smashed the ground. The pain caused sweat to drip from his forehead as he gritted his teeth. It's too painful. It's simply, the pain from the right claw immediately affected the core soul. The 3 great bodies shared the same soul. As the golden-horned beast howled in pain, the Masha clansman and Earth body too felt excruciating pain. This pain had already surpassed the physical level. Even the willpower of the soul couldn't control the pain. It went straight into the soul. Howl! Howl! The golden-horned beast was the direct recipient, so the pain was the most intense. Its entire body couldn't help but madly fly up from the metal continent, crashing and colliding. Many golden mountain ranges were smashed apart, and on the ground there were many 10-kilometers deep ravines. While the golden-horned beast was in incomparable pain, the scales on its right claw became a faint gold color. The scales seemed to have become thinner, and its claws too became a faint gold color. That battle blade-like claws had incomparably small engravings on its edges. Chi-chi, the scales returned to black, the claws too returned to normal, and the pain slowly dissipated. Who? Black-clothed Luofeng stood up. Within the huge pit quarters, Luofeng too let out a long sigh of relief. The golden-horned beast too laid on the ground for a while before it recovered. I knew absorbing the 10 crystals would be special, but the pain was so intense. Luofeng was speechless. For a person with a weak willpower, just this pain would probably cause his soul to scatter and die. Howl! The golden-horned beast stood up with a rumble, waving its right hoof that was like a heavenly pillar, at the same time activating the mystical energy hidden within its claws. The moment the mystical energy was activated, the scales on the surface of the golden-horned beast's right claw immediately underwent a huge change. The scales, bones, muscles, sharp claws, etc. were all rapidly changing. This was the most basic change in the composition of its body. This change, on the outside, was that the scales on its right claw became thinner, becoming a faint gold color. The muscles also became slightly thicker, the veins within all became a faint gold color, and the right claw's sharpest claws also became a faint gold battle blade-like claws. The sharp claws even had engravings that the naked eye couldn't see clearly. Simultaneously, the entire right claw had blood-red engravings on it, incomparably complex yet perfect blood-red engravings, forming a perfect body. This black-clothed Luofeng and his body were both shocked. The golden-horned beast lowered its head to look at its right claw. It could clearly feel the unbelievable power within it, after which it fiercely waved its claw, the reaction to the universe origin energy, the usage of the origin laws, they're all 3 times stronger than before the absorption. Luofeng's consciousness could clearly feel the huge change in the golden-horned beast's right claw. This was still within my imagination. However, right now, this right claw itself, its basic composition has changed. Normal carbon was formed from carbon atoms. Diamond was also formed from carbon atoms. As the composition changed, the power it displayed would also change. And after absorbing the 10 blood river crystals, that mysterious energy seemed to have undergone a transformation, containing some sort of special effect. It actually changed the composition of the right claw. Not only did it change internally, even the scales on the outside became a faint gold color. What a strong power! This right claw's power, it's already comparable to the golden-horned beast's total power before the transformation. The golden-horned beast gently waved its right claw, causing the air to tremble every time. How huge was the golden-horned beast's body? Its power mainly came from its huge body, its tail that was about the same length as its body, those incomparably huge scaled wings, and its 4 claws. And right now, just the power of its right claw alone was comparable to the strength of its entire body before. What kind of concept was that? The innate talent secret art enhance can double my strength, and the right claw contains all the strength of my entire body before. If I can perfectly control my entire body's strength, with a wave of my claw, wouldn't it be equivalent to double my strength before the transformation? The transformation of the right claw, in terms of strength, is equivalent to a natural talent strengthening. Luofeng was shocked. Blood river crystal. The peculiar and terrifying Blood River crystal, not only did it affect the universe origin laws, it even caused the basic composition of the body to transform. Actually, during the first absorption, Luo Feng felt that the crystal's energy could change his body's genes, allowing him to instantly become a beast man, a scaled man, or even however that was only during the absorption process. The moment it ended, everything would return to normal. Even though Luo Feng had always suspected that the crystal had other abilities, he hadn't discovered anything. After absorbing 3 crystals, he still hadn't discovered anything. After absorbing 10 crystals, Luo Feng discovered a terrifying ability. The golden horned beast's right claw itself has to be strengthened by at least 10 times before it can match the strength of its entire body. Luo Feng exclaimed within. Accepting the Blood River World mission this time was the right decision. After absorbing 10 crystals, the golden horned beast's forte, its body's strength, had doubled. His comprehension of the laws and his ability to unleash them had tripled. Its overall strength had indeed risen by a lot. Continue absorbing. That wild beast Qinyo could absorb 12 crystals. My golden horned beast should be able to absorb even more. Luo Feng was extremely excited. The golden horned beast raised its head and let out an excited roar, after which it continued absorbing the crystals. The 11th crystal, the pain was indeed very strong, however it was obviously weaker than the insane pain from absorbing the 10th crystal. After successfully absorbing the 11th crystal, indeed, his comprehension of the universe origin laws and his ability to unleash his origin laws had slightly increased. 12th crystal, 13th crystal, 14th crystal, 15th crystal, no more. No more, there's no more crystals. I've absorbed them all. I want more crystals. I want more crystals, the more the better. The golden horned beast raised its head and roared. The black-clothed Luo Feng too gripped his fists tightly. Outside in the huge pit quarters, Luo Feng suddenly stood up and frowned. Blood River crystals, large amounts of Blood River crystals, where will I get them from? 3 chapters completed. Do I have a guaranteed monthly vote? If not, I'll just recommend it. They're all Tomato's favorites. Chapter 533. Within the huge pit quarters, dressed in a bronze armor, Luo Feng sat in his stone chair and pondered. Even though the wild beast Qinyo has as many crystals as I want. However, how many can a normal fighter absorb? Hence the amount he has is limited, and I'm afraid I can at most get 1 or 2 crystals from him. Luo Feng shook his head. This amount of crystals was definitely not enough. Then, Luo Feng squinted. There's only one way. So, a silhouette immediately rushed into the cloud levels, reaching the 18th level. It was Masha Luo Feng. Beside him a silver-white pyramid ship appeared, and Masha Luo Feng swiftly entered the ship through the cabin door. Within the control room. Luo Feng, what are you doing? Babata's voice resounded within the control room. Why are you using the Masha clansman? The black-armored Masha Luo Feng sat on the wide, soft sofa, revealing a smile. Babata, don't be anxious. I used the Masha clansman because of the Blood River crystal. He swiftly explained the golden horned beast's absorption of the crystal, and also the reason for his visit. Absorbing 15 crystals isn't enough. Absorbing 10 is already so mysterious. What will it be like if I absorb more? Babata was very excited. Masha Luo Feng nodded. Hence, I've placed you, the cloud contact vine, and all the important treasures on the Masha clansman, including the life core. It's also within him. Right now, the only thing left in the huge pit quarters is my earth body. Even if my body encounters a calamity and dies, it's a small matter. As long as the core is undamaged, then even if the 3 bodies are destroyed, they can still be recovered. What you're doing makes sense. The core is within the Masha clansman. In terms of life preservation, the Masha clansman combined with the automaton ship is indeed safer. Babata admitted, What are you preparing to do now? Hunt. Masha Luofeng revealed a smile. Blood River continent is vast and boundless. Each world is controlled by sector lords. The entire continent has over 10 million world cities, and the number of sector lords too. And the number of domain lords is 100 times that of the sector lords. That's even more shocking. Blood River continent worships strength. The various worlds fight against each other. A large number of humans die every day, and many region lords die every year. What I need to do is to hunt down some region lords in secret. I won't kill too many either. Within the tens of millions of worlds in Blood River continent, within the area controlled by over 1,000 world cities, I'll only kill one domain lord. Hunting close to 10,000 domain lords in the entire Blood River continent isn't that eye-catching. Masha Luofeng's eyes gleamed fiercely. A domain lord on average gets one Blood River crystal. I'll be able to get close to 10,000 crystals. I believe you. These close to 10,000 crystals should be enough. Masha Luofeng said softly. Haha. How ruthless. Close to 10,000? Haha, that's how it should be. Only then will it be satisfying. Hurry and set off, unleash the power of the universe's strongest assassin race. Babata too was excited by Luofeng's description. Hunting. With the entire Blood River continent as his target, hunting stealthily without anyone noticing. Depart. Masha Luofeng ordered. Whoosh. The automaton ship that was shaped like a meteor was swiftly flying in the void outside of Blood River World. Blood River Continent, Heavenly U City. This was a main city that was over 1 billion km away from the ancient god ruins. On the streets outside the city leader's residence. You actually dare to challenge me in my territory, you're looking to die. Are you regretting it now? It's too late. A green-skinned, cold-eyed man dressed in a battle robe sat high up on the back of a dire beast, the centipede bug beast that was more than 10 meters tall. He looked down coldly and ordered, "Pass down my order. Destroy the Mo clan." Lord City Leader, that Mo family brat is very arrogant. Offending you, he deserves to die. However, the Mo family is such a big family, it's inevitable for an arrogant disciple to appear. There's no need. Beside, an armored cloud-level general said respectfully. "Pa." A phantom suddenly whipped the general, sending him flying and crashing into a large restaurant building on the opposite side of the street, causing the entire restaurant to explode. Some of the flying rubble smashed into some passers-by in the distance, causing them to bleed, and some were directly smashed to death. Immediately, the street was filled with panic. Whoosh! A silhouette flew out from the collapsed restaurant. It was the general who spat out blood with a pale face. He respectfully knelt on the ground. "Lord City Leader, your subordinate knows his wrongs, your subordinate knows his wrongs. Remember, Heavenly U territory is my territory." The cold man gazed below. "Whoever I say deserves to die, they deserve to die. If you dare to disobey me again, it won't just be this whip." Understood, understood. The general was extremely terrified. Go, wipe out the entire Mo family. If you want to blame someone, blame that little bastard. My mood today was just right, and it was all ruined by that little bastard. Why don't they take a look at who they are, daring to offend me? I can crush the Mo clan as easily as crushing a bug. The cold-looking man sat on the back of the centipede bug beast and entered the castellan's mansion under the escort of his subordinates. Only then did the general stand up. "General." The others looked at him. "What are you standing there for? Hurry and gather the troops to wipe out the Mo family." The general howled. "Yes. The Mo family is at least one of the top 10 families in our Heavenly U city. Just because that little bastard Mo Chong offended the city leader, it's over. How pitiful. Our Mo Chong young master, how did he offend the city leader? I don't know. I heard that the city leader disguised himself as a normal person and brought 2 guards with him to the west side's Jioya Tower. For some reason, He got into a conflict with our young master Mo Chong. That young master Mo Chong is usually very arrogant. Today he's really unlucky to meet the city leader. With a single order from the city leader, the entire Mo family will be finished. Pitiful, pitiful. Pitiful my ass, the city leader isn't a good person. That Mo Chong is a bastard too. The more they die, the better. A large number of people gathered on the streets were discussing. Within the crowd, Luo Feng, who was dressed in a loose black long robe, was listening to everything. He revealed a smile. I didn't expect to witness such a good show the moment I arrived in Heavenly U City. City leader? So tyrannical, I hope you have more blood river crystals on you. Who? The black-clothed Luo Feng walked noiselessly within the crowd and entered the city leader's residence. Within the city leader's residence, within a 7-story luxurious palace, a man with a cold expression was lying on a bed that was more than 10 meters wide. 2 charming girls with scales between their eyebrows were massaging him. Gentler, gentler, yes, just like that. The man closed his eyes and ordered. City leader, my sister and I saw a piece of clothing in the beautiful clothing pavilion. Buy whatever you see. Just report it to the manager of the residence. The cold man said casually. Thank you, city leader. The 2 ladies were getting more excited. The cold man's lips curled into a smile. This sort of power and control, the lives of others, the feeling of having countless people beg him, it was extremely wonderful. My older brothers are really stupid. Just to become a world leader, they have to train like a monk. Is there a need for that? I'm so happy like this, haha, world leader? It's so easy to train? Life. It should be like this. Poochie. 3 blood-red lights lit up, and the gloomy man widened his eyes in horror. Beside his luxurious bed, there was a man in black standing. The man in black was holding a saber and looking at him coldly. I'm dead? How can this be? The man felt his life core shatter. He stared wide-eyed, simultaneously his consciousness was fading. His carefree life had ended just like that. How rotten. Black-clothed Luo Feng stood beside the bed, looking at the 3 naked bodies on the bed, his eyes cold. Such a rotten life, to actually be able to become a domain lord, you're really lucky. Or should I say, you have a background? The stronger the background, the more I like it. The bigger the background, the more blood river crystals. He swiftly found a space ring from the dead city leader. 2 blood river crystals. Black-clothed Luo Feng revealed a smile. Not bad, it's a good start. Following which he waved his hand and the 3 bodies including the bed were kept into his space ring, preparing to destroy all evidence. Shwa. Black-clothed Luo Feng was like a specter. He immediately left the city leader's mansion and rushed into the sky, rushing to the 18th cloud level and sitting in the automaton ship. He continued to advance in the space outside of Blood River World. After killing 1 person, he would change locations. Absolute caution. With the worlds of Blood River continent killing each other, wars were frequent. In such a chaotic situation, the occasional death of a domain lord wasn't much, and when some domain lords were killed, their underlings wouldn't even know. They thought the domain lord had gone somewhere to train. In space, within the first level of Tianshi Palace that was in charge of monitoring the entire Blood River world. What's up with His Majesty Luo Feng? Why is he always sitting in that automaton ship of his? After a while he flies out of Blood River world. After a while, he goes in again. After a while, he comes out again. What do you mean by a while? Normally it's 1 to 2 days. But this frequency is too high. Just what is His Majesty Luo Feng doing? The group of sector lords in charge of monitoring were all curious. They didn't understand what Luo Feng was doing. While Masha Luo Feng was hunting, within the huge pit quarters of the ancient god ruins, dressed in a bronze armor, Luo Feng sat there with his eyes closed. His speed is pretty fast, on average he gets 1 blood river crystal a day. The hunting plan till today has been going on for half a year. Including yesterday's, it should be the 98th crystal. Luo Feng smiled as he opened his eyes. I've got another 2, making it a total of 100 crystals. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. Chapter 534. Even though he was in the ancient god ruins, Luo Feng was still very relaxed. As the core was within the Masha clansmen, even the living AI Babata and other important items were taken away by the Masha clansmen. Thus, there was nothing to worry about when the Earthling's main body stayed here. Even if I'm killed, I'll just use up a bit of the internal world's energy to recover. Luo Feng closed his eyes. His consciousness connected to the virtual universe through the quantum computer within his space ring. In a while, there's still a gold origin law class, I can't miss it. Over 1 trillion km away, within a quiet and vast city. Within the city leader's residence, within a pagoda's 3rd level, within a secret training room, a man dressed in armor laid on the ground. Black-clothed Luo Feng stood beside him. With these 2 crystals, the total I've acquired since leaving the ancient god ruins is exactly 100. Black-clothed Luo Feng waved his hand and immediately destroyed the evidence, after which, he left silently in the night sky, rushing into the sky and sitting on the automaton ship into the space outside of Blood River continent. Within the control room of the automaton ship, black-clothed Luo Feng sat on the sofa, laughing softly. Exterior simulation 100%. Immediately the scenery around him changed. An incredibly beautiful and dreamy space appeared in his vision, and below him was the cloud layer of Blood River continent. Luo Feng, you absorbed 30 crystals the last 2 times. How many are you preparing to absorb today? The light gathered beside and formed Babata's energy silhouette. The little demon smiled happily at Luo Feng. I'm preparing to absorb 25. Black-clothed Luo Feng said. In the ancient god ruins, the golden-horned beast absorbed 15. The last 2 times, it absorbed 30 each time. Right now the golden-horned beast has absorbed a total of 75 crystals. Including today's 25, it's exactly 100. The little demon Babata laughed weirdly. That intense pain, can you handle it? Black-clothed Luo Feng frowned. Pain? Yes. Back when he absorbed the 10th crystal, the pain was so intense that the golden-horned beast couldn't control itself and charged about. The other 2 bodies were in excruciating pain, that pain even made their souls tremble. The pain of absorbing the 11th crystal was far weaker than the 10th. However, the further he went, the more crystals he absorbed, the more pain he felt. By the time he absorbed the 72nd crystal, the pain was comparable to when he absorbed the 10th. Last time, Luo Feng risked his life and managed to absorb the 75th, but he almost fainted. Today is the 76th to 100th fusion. I reckon that every fusion will be more painful than the previous one, Little Devil reminded him. If you can't take it, it's better to separate the fusion into a few days. I'm fine. The black-clothed Luo Feng's gaze was sharp. You can't even take this little pain and you still want to become undying. This isn't just a little pain. If it weren't for your strong willpower, your soul would have been destroyed long ago, Babata reminded. Absorbing the crystal, I've never heard of anyone's soul being destroyed. The black-clothed Luo Feng said softly. If one can't handle it, they'll immediately faint and the absorption will stop. There was no danger. And Babata, I have a feeling that when 100 crystals are absorbed, a miracle will happen. The black-clothed Luo Feng's eyes were filled with anticipation. Let's begin. Schwa. Within the automaton ship, there was only 1 core left. The black-clothed Luo Feng entered the internal world. Within the internal world, the black mountain-like golden-horned beast slowly got up, and the black-clothed Luo Feng suddenly appeared. A heaven-like pillar-like right claw extended and placed before the black-clothed Luo Feng. 76th crystal. The black-clothed Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out a triangular blood-red crystal, placing it on the palm of the claw. As the sharp claw pierced through the scales, the 76th crystal began to absorb. The black-clothed Luo Feng gripped his fists and gritted his teeth, standing there trembling. Howl! The golden-horned beast was in so much pain that it fiercely rushed into the sky. Those two huge black cloud-like scaled wings began to flap, madly flying in the air above the vast metal continent, occasionally crashing into metal mountain ranges, venting out the intense pain, only stopping after a while. Still all right, it feels better than the last time when I absorbed 30 crystals. Looks like my willpower has been tempered and raised again. The black-clothed Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief, releasing his tightly clenched fist. The golden-horned beast that landed raised its right claw, simultaneously activating that mysterious energy. Immediately the right claw turned from pure black to a faint gold color. A black-colored golden-horned beast covered in gold armor, its entire body was pitch black. Even those 4 horns, because they were covered in golden engravings, they looked golden. In truth, it was a mix of gold and black. Only the right claw was completely golden, and it had endless energy. And on this right claw, there were extremely complicated and incomparably beautiful engravings. The complexity of the engravings, even compared to the golden engravings on the entire body of the golden-horned beast, it wasn't too far off. However, even a normal person would feel that this blood-red complicated engravings were incomplete. It wasn't complete. Looking at the number of engravings, I feel that after absorbing the 100th crystal, it should be complete. The black-clothed Luo Feng stared at the blood-red engravings on the huge right claw. When absorbing 3, the engravings were simple but complete. When absorbing 10, the engravings were much more complicated, however they were still as complete as 1. Right now, the golden-horned beast's right claw had already absorbed 76 crystals. Continue to the 77th. The black-clothed Luo Feng placed another crystal in the palm of the right claw. 78th, 79th, 80th. As time went on, every time the right claw was modified, it made the golden-horned beast feel so much pain that it wanted to die. However, the pride and rock-like willpower in its bones allowed Luo Feng to endure it time and time again. Pain. It was so damn painful. 86th, 87th, 88th. *********** Ancient God ruins, within the training room of the huge pit quarters. Dressed in bronze armor, Luo Feng knelt within the training room. His 10 fingers were like hooks fiercely clawing at the stone floor, clawing at the stone until it broke into powder. He gritted his teeth, his gums making creaking sounds. His face was flushed with blood, veins popping out. His entire body was sweating profusely, even the ground was wet. Kuchi, pa. Scared. Puke. Luo Feng fiercely spat out a few broken teeth. Damn. Pain. It really hurts. Luo Feng's entire body was trembling. Sweat seeped through the gaps in his armor and flowed outwards. His skin felt like it was being cooked. That unprecedented pain from his soul was completely affecting his body. Who? Luo Feng fiercely knelt. His entire body seemed to be paralyzed, constantly panting and panting. My God, I've finally made it through. I feel like I've died over 1,000 times. The virtual universe is 100% simulated, even the pain of death is simulated. However, the pain of death isn't even 1/10,000 of this pain. Luo Feng's entire body lay there. Just his earth body was in so much pain. How much pain would the golden-horned beast, who was directly bearing the brunt of the right claw, be in? One had to know that this pain was from the golden-horned beast's body acting on the soul. The pain the golden-horned beast felt was the most intense. This is only the 90th crystal. How do I take the rest? Luo Feng couldn't imagine. The pain he felt before was already the most terrifying pain he had ever felt in his entire life. It was so painful that he almost fainted. Fainting was an instinctive form of self-protection. However, Luo Feng was very clear that the moment he fainted, it meant that the absorption of the crystal had failed. In the void 1,000,000,000,000 kilometers away, in the control room of the mechanical race's spaceship, the crystal core was spinning in the air. Within the internal world, the 91st crystal. The black-clothed Luo Feng took a deep breath and placed another crystal into the golden-horned beast's right claw. The huge golden-horned beast, with its dark golden eyes that were even larger than a lake, looked down at the crystal. Within its eyes there was a sense of fear. It was really too painful. Chi. The sharp claws slashed across and fresh blood flowed. The 91st crystal began to absorb. Kill! Kill, kill! An incomparably mad killing aura willpower covered the skies and earth as it rushed towards Luo Feng's willpower. Every time he absorbed a crystal, the killing aura willpower would increase by 1 level. At the 91st crystal, this killing aura willpower wasn't any weaker than the killing aura whirlpool from before, which had 8 times the killing aura. It even surpassed it. My heart is like a mirror, don't even think of tempting me, Scram. Luo Feng's willpower let out a furious roar, madly resisting. Time and time again, the killing aura willpower finally retreated. I've finally withstood this killing aura willpower. Actually, at this time, it wasn't just the pain from the transformation of the right claw that was almost unbearable, even the killing aura willpower was something Luo Feng couldn't withstand. However, withstanding the killing aura willpower and withstanding the body transformation pain were two different things. Withstanding the killing aura willpower, blocking it was blocking it, failure was failure. There was no pain, no suffering. However, the pain persisted, wave after wave, until the right claw was completely transformed. Only then would the terrifying pain stop. Damn, it's coming again. The black-clothed Luo Feng's body trembled, immediately kneeling on the ground, both his hands digging into the metal ground, gritting his teeth as he held on. Howl! The golden-horned beast howled madly, venting its frustration. The 91st crystal, after experiencing the life and death nightmare again and again, he finally made it through. 92nd crystal. If he wanted to succeed, he had to be tough on himself. Luo Feng continued to let the golden-horned beast absorb the 92nd crystal. My God, the killing aura willpower of the 92nd crystal was simply unbearable. Luo Feng struggled to control his willpower, making it incomparably condensed. He persisted and persisted, feeling as though his willpower was about to crumble. Finally, the terrifying killing aura willpower retreated. But what followed was an even more frightening pain that persisted endlessly. Why do I have a feeling? Black-clothed Luo Feng picked up the 93rd crystal and said softly, "To absorb the 100th crystal, it will be very, very difficult. Continue." When the 93rd crystal touched the wound of the golden-horned beast's right claw, an even more berserk and ferocious killing aura willpower rushed at Luo Feng's willpower. That killing aura willpower was endless, every strand was incomparably strong. Luo Feng could barely defend against it time and time again. Rumble! Luo Feng felt a wave of dizziness, after which the 3 bodies all fell unconscious. After the killing aura willpower broke through Luo Feng's resistance, it swiftly returned to the crystal. Absorbing the 93rd crystal, failure. P.S. Second chapter has arrived. Continue to the 3rd chapter. Chapter 535. The moment he fainted, when the killing aura willpower receded, Luo Feng quickly regained his consciousness. I failed, I actually failed. Black-clothed Luo Feng frowned. I knew it would be very hard to last until the 100th, but I didn't expect to fail at the 93rd. That killing aura willpower was too powerful and berserk, the pain was too intense. This all means my willpower isn't strong enough. Luo Feng was very wrong. His willpower wasn't strong enough? Even the absolute genius of the Undying Shrine that appeared once in 1,000,000,000 years, if he wanted to, he could step into undying in a short time. In terms of willpower, he was much weaker than Luo Feng. Many Sector Lord Pinnacle warriors couldn't even compare to Luo Feng in terms of willpower. Hence, in terms of willpower, Luo Feng was actually very strong. The real reason was how many people could absorb up to the 93rd crystal. On Blood River Continent, absorbing 10 would make one a legendary black warrior. Every time one absorbed, the requirements for one's body would increase by 10 times. To absorb the 93rd crystal? That was too unrealistic. 93 crystals, the killing aura willpower constantly stacking, it was ridiculous. The right claw can't absorb anymore. What about the other parts of the golden horned beast? The golden horned beast placed the crystal in its right claw into its left palm, following which it sliced through the scales and fresh blood touched the crystal. Rumble! The formless energy from the crystal rushed into the golden horned beast's body, simultaneously bringing with it the other killing aura willpower within. It swiftly stacked up to an incomparably powerful level, directly attacking Luo Feng's willpower within the golden horned beast. Rumble! How can this be? It actually stacked up with the killing aura willpower from the right claw? Luo Feng was shocked. Kill! Kill! The crazy killing aura willpower once again rushed over. Luo Feng struggled to hold on, condensing his willpower like a boulder to defend. However, even a boulder, under the endless killing aura willpower, it was still crushed into pieces. He fainted again. That formless energy returned to the crystal, and Luo Feng regained his consciousness. Within the control room of the automaton ship, that crystal ball was slowly revolving. The golden engravings on its surface were glowing. Suddenly, the black-clothed Luo Feng appeared. I actually failed. The black-clothed Luo Feng sat on the sofa, looking ahead into the endless space. What's the matter, Luo Feng? The demon Babata's human silhouette was condensed from energy. The black-clothed Luo Feng explained the merging process. Oh, no wonder. In the entire history of Blood River Continent, there probably hadn't been anyone who had absorbed 93. Even for the highest level 4 wild beast Chinyo, it's already very powerful to absorb more than 10. The demon Babata laughed. Luo Feng, don't mind it too much. As your willpower improves, you'll be able to fuse more in the future. I don't care about that. Black-clothed Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. However, the other parts of the golden horned beast are unable to absorb the crystals. It's because you can't resist the slaughter will. The demon Babata sat on the sofa beside him, crossing his legs and looking at the endless space in front of him. The Blood River crystal's energy that transforms the body has a limited range. But the killing aura willpower is different. This is willpower, it can spread to any part of the golden horned beast's body. When you want the golden horned beast's left claw to absorb the crystal, the killing aura willpower will immediately trigger all the killing aura willpower within the golden horned beast's body and attack it once. Black-clothed Luo Feng nodded. He understood the theory. Every time one was absorbed, the killing aura willpower would constantly stack. Even if the body parts were different, the willpower would still stack. Luckily, I've already absorbed all the crystals into my right claw. Luo Feng thought. The golden horned beast's right claw was already a trump card, it was incomparably terrifying. And if he had evenly absorbed the crystals into every part of his body from the start, every part of his body could have been transformed 7 to 8 times. However, that way, the increase in strength would be very limited. It would be better to directly create a terrifying right claw. I'm too greedy. This is already a huge opportunity for me, I can't be greedy. And as long as I keep training my willpower, I believe one day I'll be able to absorb the 100th crystal. I have a feeling that after absorbing the 100th crystal, the complicated blood engravings will be incomparably perfect. When that time comes, there should be a special effect. Luo Feng thought. Continue. 3 great bodies, each with their own duties. Luo Feng quickly adjusted his emotions. This Blood River world had a total of 2 missions. The first was to acquire a Blood River crystal. This mission was a reward of 10,000 points. The second was to become a Blood Warrior and acquire a Blood River medal, receiving 100,000 points. Even though acquiring large amounts of crystals wouldn't give him many points. However, Blood River crystals were only found in Blood River World. They were a special product of Blood River World. Even though there were many in Blood River World, almost all the domain lords had them, and even some universe-level elites would acquire one. However, its value was undeniable. If I can get my hands on it, I'll try to get as much as I can. These Blood River crystals, these things should be more expensive. The Masha clansman continued his hunting trip. Of course, traveling took up 99.9% of the time. The actual hunting time was very short. So, other than hunting and killing, when it was in the automaton ship, the Masha clone would enter the inner world and study the 9 universe primal chaos tablets drizzle diagram according to the floating blood secret manual and spacetime scribbles. The golden horned beast, on the other hand, combined the 3 ancient pictures to train in tearing sky and land. As the strength of its right claw was shocking, and it could draw upon the origin laws of the universe, causing the laws to amplify by 9 times. This meant, using its right claw and not using it, the golden horned beast's strength was close to 10 times stronger. The golden horned beast itself was already incomparably strong, but 10 times stronger? However, this was an opportunity. After all, to absorb 92 crystals was too difficult and demanding. The power of its right claw was shocking, hence the 3 ancient pictures. Luo Feng focused on the third. The first was the beast leaping and swinging its tail, smashing apart the huge palm that descended from the sky. The second was the beast lowering its head, its golden horn facing forward as it charged at high speed. The third was the beast waving its claws and smashing fiercely. The golden horned beast's right claw was already strong, and combined with this attack, the golden horned beast's study of tearing sky and land, 80% of its focus was on the first claw. Luo Feng had long prepared. He was prepared to train the first claw into his true killing move. The right claw was strong, naturally he had to focus on training his claws. Combining the strong, only then would it be even more ferocious. First claw, the golden horned beast began an incomparably arduous and frenzied study and training, studying the tearing sky and land techniques left behind by its ancestors, chasing after the ancient beast's claw, constantly strengthening the first claw's power. The Earth body often went to listen to the Undying's lectures, occasionally studying how to combine gold and space, at the same time staying in the killing aura environment and improving his body. Of course, the 3 great bodies were all training their minds. The golden horned beast would occasionally try to absorb the crystals, feeling the terrifying killing aura willpower rush and resisting it to train himself. The Masha clansman was training his heart and soul within the bloody slaughter. The Earth body was training his heart and soul according to his 2 brothers Hong and Thunder God's teachings. Occasionally he would even interact with them in the virtual universe. With the guidance of these 2 great masters who had reached the pinnacle of both Chinese martial arts and ancient yoga, Luo Feng would occasionally gain insight. Studying the origin laws, studying the wonders of the techniques, training his heart and soul. In the long river of time, Luo Feng constantly perfected himself. In the blink of an eye, 30 years had passed. Within the vast Blood River continent, within one of the city leader's residences, it was currently daytime. "You actually dare to kill my son, you're really looking to die." A powerful roar, almost like the rage of a god, resounded throughout the skies above the city. A black silhouette rushed into the sky and into the clouds. It was the black-clothed Luo Feng. "Damn, there's actually a sector lord hidden here." The black-clothed Luo Feng's speed was shocking. "You dare to kill my son, don't even think of escaping." A rumbling voice resounded in his ears. Simultaneously a formless world energy pressured over. So, The silver-white pyramid appeared before the black-clothed Luo Feng, and he immediately rushed into it. The golden-robed middle-aged man who was chasing swiftly saw the silver-white pyramid rushing into the sky and stared wide-eyed. "It's an outsider." He immediately rushed into the sky, simultaneously using his world energy to pressurize the automaton ship. However, the ship's speed was simply too fast, instantly rushing through the 18th cloud level. The golden-robed middle-aged man stood at the 18th cloud level, looking up at the cloud level, not daring to pass through again. "It's actually an outsider." The golden-robed middle-aged man's expression became complicated. "I have to inform the Undying Shrine about this. Another outsider has descended on our Blood River continent." The automaton ship was in space. Within the control room. That was really dangerous. The black-clothed Luo Feng sat in the sofa and let out a long sigh. "I didn't expect a sector lord to be hiding within this city. A sector lord doesn't unleash his aura and completely hides it. I had no way of detecting him at all. However, the moment he moved, with the universe space, I could immediately sense his presence. Luckily I fled quickly. The Masha clansman could unleash over 10,000 images, causing his instantaneous speed to be extremely shocking, even faster than many sector lords. Fast, that was only because he started quickly. The moment a sector lord speed soared, he would catch up very quickly. Hence, he first used his speed to shake him off and then immediately rode the automaton ship to escape. Always walking by the river, how can one's shoes not get wet? The black-clothed Luo Feng muttered softly. With this incident, that sector lord will definitely immediately inform the Undying Shrine. If they investigate, they'll probably find some clues and set a trap for me. Anyway, I've gathered enough these 30 years, I'll stop here. 30 years. Masha Luo Feng's hunt had gathered a total of 9,816 Blood River crystals. Luo Feng too felt it was too vicious, it was time to stop. P.S. 3 chapters completed. Was he vicious? If he was, then he'd just destroy the ticket. Chapter 536. Virtual Universe, Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-Star Bay. Near the lake, there were 3 people sitting there. A tall youth with short black hair, dressed in casual clothes, sat there. However, he seemed like a spear that could pierce through the skies. And on his left sat a white-robed bald youth with a smile on his face. This white-robed bald youth's smile was so pure and holy, it made one's soul feel intoxicated. Beside these two sat a skinny youth with a faint killing aura. His entire being was like a cold blood blade that came out of a blood ocean. That killing intent and coldness was shocking. 30. Your mental state is getting more and more extreme. The bald youth shook his head and smiled. Second brother, in terms of mental state training, I can't compare to you. I can't see through it in a short while. Then I'll continue to walk the limit, that way I'll at least improve. Luo Feng smiled. He himself felt it too. As he had been in the absolute beginning region for a long time in the ancient god ruins of Blood River World, he had been affected by the killing aura for tens of years. His bones were originally cold and bloodthirsty. Now that he was affected by the killing aura and the golden-horned beast absorbing so many Blood River crystals, it caused Luo Feng to emit a killing aura even in the virtual universe network. Walking the limit is after all a small path. Thunder God shook his head. Second brother. Hong smiled indifferently as he sat there. You don't have to force third brother. In terms of mental state training, third brother is also unique. To be able to train his mental state to such a level, untainted and unaffected. Absolute purity, absolute rejection, absolute condensation. This kind of absolute is actually a kind of improvement of the state of mind. Thunder God was stunned, after which he nodded and asked curiously, Big brother, but this is ultimately, Hong looked at Luo Feng, third brother. Big brother. Luo Feng smiled at Hong. Your second brother and I have taught you a lot about mental state training. However, mental state training is completely different from other training. This is a form of transcending one's mental state. Hong smiled at Luo Feng. In the past, many wonders have been explained. Today, I'll start from the highest point and divide your mental state. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Heart? What is the heart? Mental state, what is the mental state? Hong smiled. From a fighter's point of view, the heart is actually willpower. The strength of your will is already an anomaly. Hong said slowly, but, in general, in terms of realms, you're only at the first realm of the 3 realms of cultivating the heart. The first realm? Luo Feng was shocked. 3 great mental states. This is my conclusion. Hong smiled faintly. In our ancient Chinese culture, the cultivation of the state of mind has always been very important, and all kinds of interrogation and training of the heart are actually aimed at one's true self, to see through one's true self. As the saying goes, there is no Bodhi tree, there is no mirror, there is nothing in the world. Where does the dust come from? They are all aimed at one's true nature, a state of mind cultivation that allows one to see one's nature. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. Right now, your heart is as clear as a mirror, untainted by even a speck of dust. Your heart is as sharp as a blade, cutting down all obstacles. It can be said that you have reached an extremely high level in the cultivation of knowing your true nature. Hong sighed. And now you are still continuously condensing your original heart, making your will even more condensed. No matter how condensed it is still the first realm. What about the second realm? Luo Feng asked. Simply put, man and nature as one. Hong pointed at Thunder God beside him. Your second brother is considered this second realm. What is man and nature as one? Luo Feng asked. Man and nature as one, mental state perfect. Hong smiled. What is perfect? Yin and yang merging, the path is born. What is yin and yang merging? You are pointing at one's true nature, chasing the extreme. This is considered walking to the extreme. As the saying goes, extreme yin produces yang, extreme yang produces yin. Just walking to the extreme may be able to raise one's strength, but only when yin and yang merge is it true perfection. For example, when one conducts oneself, one needs to be square and round, when one needs to be hard, when one needs to be soft, when one needs to be soft. This mental state is like that too, condensing like a blade, one needs to condense. And when one needs to be gentle like water, one needs to be gentle like water. As the saying goes, if one uses a blade to cut water, water will flow even more, water will never be able to be cut. In terms of defense, water is stronger than even the toughest shield. Hong smiled. Yin and yang merging, man and nature as one, mental state perfect. Of course, this level of perfection is also known as the heart of a newborn. It's already considered the pinnacle in theory. Your second brother is like that. Luo Feng held his breath as he listened, asking, Heart like a blade, I understand. But how does one's heart become like water? The theory can be explained to you, but the state is hard to explain. Hong smiled and shook his head. Then, the first level is to point at one's heart, to see one's nature, to see through all lies and falsehoods. The second level is yin and yang merging, man and nature as one, heart of a newborn, mental state perfect. Luo Feng asked, the second level is already the pinnacle in theory, what about the third? Beside, Thunder God smiled. The third level, Big Brother has already touched the edge. The third level, Hong said softly, even I have only touched the edge. The heart is empty and boundless, the heart can be infinitely big. The heart can contain everything. Big Brother, what do you mean? Luo Feng asked. It's hard to explain. Hong smiled. Let me explain it this way. The second level is yin and yang merging, if it's considered man and nature as one, being in perfect harmony with the land and sky. Then the third level is the heart being infinitely big, able to contain the land and sky, able to contain the universe, able to contain everything. Any and all desires can be contained, whether it's killing, whether it's money, whether it's lust for beauty, whether it's lust for power, everything can be contained. Luo Feng was shocked when he heard this. Everything can be contained? If the third level of mental state is achieved, no matter how powerful a warrior, how powerful a life form, all willpower won't be able to affect me. Hong smiled. Damn sick. Luo Feng stared. Sick, right? Beside, the white-robed bald thunder god smiled. Man and nature as one, heart of a newborn, whether it's ancient yoga or ancient Chinese culture, these are the theoretical limits. However, your big brothers, in Chinese history, people have mentioned it before, as to whether or not anyone has reached it. I don't know. Luo Feng looked at Hong, filled with even more respect. 3 levels of mental state training. The first level, to see one's nature, to point at one's heart. In many Buddhist and Taoist scriptures, this was considered a manifestation of attaining the Tao. The second level, man and nature as one, heart of a newborn. This is already the pinnacle of theory. The third level, the heart is infinitely big, the heart can contain everything. This was unbelievable. Big brother, how can you reach the third level? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. The second level, I've vaguely touched it, however I haven't been able to fully comprehend it. Mental state training, it all depended on one's heart. Luo Feng's understanding of one's nature could be said to have reached a limit. Indeed, he vaguely understood the theory of yin and yang combining. It's hard to explain, I've read some books and experienced some things to comprehend. Hong smiled. There's a saying without desires, there's an ancient saying too, if a man doesn't fight, no one in the world can compete with him. Actually, my Chinese culture has many theories of mental state training. These 2 phrases can be considered as me touching the edge of the third level. It's an inspiration. Without desires, there's an ancient saying? If a man doesn't fight, no one in the world can compete with him? Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. These 2 phrases are simple, I understand them. But what you mean is, China's culture is resplendent, countless geniuses, to be able to reach man and nature as one, to have a heart of a newborn, they are all ancient sages. You should first reach the second level before we talk. Hong smiled. I'll recommend you a method. Read some Chinese books, it might be of help to you. Luo Feng nodded. Suddenly he thought, the Masha clansman has arrived. The Masha clansman sat on the automaton ship, flying close to light speed for a few months in the space outside of Blood River World, finally returning. Within the blood-colored cloud layers, a silhouette instantly passed through 1,000 kilometers, landing at the edge of the huge pit, and with a flash, it entered the huge pit. Huge pit quarters. Dressed in a bronze armor, Luo Feng had already stood up from his stone bed. Looking at the cave entrance ahead, a black silhouette appeared. It was Masha Luo Feng. 10 Blood River crystals. The Masha clansman casually left 10 crystals and left again, immediately passing through the 18 cloud layers and sitting on the automaton ship. It floated in the space outside Blood River World. For safety, he let the Masha clansman bring the core outside, at least it was safe, and within the huge pit quarters. Finally, I have some Blood River crystals. Luo Feng kept the 10 crystals, his face revealing a helpless smile. The last time I gave all the crystals to the golden-horned beast to absorb, not leaving a single one. This left me with no more crystals to absorb. 30 years. A whole 30 years, withstanding the killing aura's transformation of his body, yet he didn't have any crystals to absorb at all. I'll try and see if I can absorb the third. Luo Feng took out a crystal. This body had absorbed 2 before. 30 years later, he tried the third qi. His palm was cut open. The crystal was placed on the wound and the killing aura willpower rushed at Luo Feng's willpower. Compared to the golden-horned beast, this little killing aura willpower is laughably weak. Luo Feng exclaimed. Following which his entire body felt intense pain. His body began to transform, however, to Luo Feng, who had successfully absorbed the 91st and 92nd, the pain of the third wasn't much at all. The blood threads didn't just enter his body, the blood river crystal became more and more transparent. Pa! Luo Feng's chest suddenly had the sound of his ribs breaking. I actually failed. Luo Feng looked at the almost transparent crystal in his palm. Large amounts of blood threads flowed back, allowing the crystal to quickly return to its original state, feeling helpless. Indeed, the more I absorb, the harder it gets. I stayed in the ancient god ruins for 2 years before and absorbed the second. However, after staying for a total of 30 years, I'm still unable to absorb the third. Luo Feng shook his head. That golden horned beast's body and genes seem to be much more perfect than human genes. At least in some special aspects, it's superior. Even though he had failed, Luo Feng wasn't angry at all. Instead, he was filled with anticipation. Looking at the situation, there's still hope for me to absorb the third crystal. I'll become a blood warrior and get the Blood River medal. I'll be able to get 100,000 points when I return. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. Chapter 537. His body failed to absorb the third crystal. Luo Feng wasn't discouraged at all, continuing to train. Training in the killing aura-filled environment of the ancient god ruins, even though it was to absorb the crystals, however. Luo Feng's main focus was still on the 9 universe tablets drizzle picture. He had comprehended the first 9 wonders in Primal Chaos City. However, the other 27 wonders were all much more profound. It had been over 32 years since he came to Blood River Continent. Even though his improvement was huge, the wonders he had truly comprehended were extremely few. Blood River crystals, however, their only support. Mental state, I can't see or touch it. The origin laws are what's truly important. These 30 years, the golden horned beast has combined the 3 ancient pictures and studied tearing sky and land. In terms of the metal origin laws, its improvement has exceeded the Masha clansman's improvement speed. Luo Feng sat crossed-legged on the stone bed. My body will also focus on studying the drizzle picture. Time and space, these were the hardest. Luo Feng's main body's weapon, the Nanshan armament, was a spirit weapon that combined gold and space. Luo Feng's improvement in the gold aspect was too fast, causing his space aspect to be unable to keep up. He could only rely on his body and the Masha clansmen to study the space origin laws together. The universe was vast and boundless. In the endless universe, a short 10 years was just a blink of an eye. A few ancient beings, with a blink of an eye, could be up to 100 million years. In the blink of an eye, Luo Feng had been in Blood River World for over 80 years. Virtual Universe, Thunder Island. A lady with a slender figure, who was wearing an aquamarine armor, was standing on a reef with a radius of more than 10 miles at the edge of the Thunderbolt Island. In front of the reef was a large number of electric snakes. Suddenly a silhouette shot over from the distance and landed on the huge reef. It was the golden-armored ape-man Tru Yen. "Jade, you're looking for me?" Tru Yen smiled. The dark green armored woman turned her head. She was none other than Jade Monarch. Jade nodded. "What's the matter?" Tru Yen smiled and asked. "It's about your disciple, Luo Feng." Jade's clear voice resounded. Tru Yen was shocked. "Why are you so concerned about this disciple of mine?" "This disciple of mine is currently at the universe level. He hasn't really gone out to explore the outside world yet. What's his situation now? You should be clear." Monarch Jadeite shook her head. "It's clear, but it's not clear at all." "Just say it," Tru Yen said. "I'll be honest with you." Jade smiled. "This Luo Feng's improvement has been noticed by the management of the Virtual Universe Company. Especially when he just came out of Primal Chaos City. He actually went through 9 islands in a row, all the way to the 10th island before failing. His willpower and consciousness is shocking." "Ha ha!" Tru Yen laughed proudly. This disciple of mine, even though he's only at the universe level, his soul hadn't truly transformed into immortal. However, in terms of willpower, I'm afraid many of the undyings who have undergone a qualitative evolution cannot compare to my disciple. Of course I know this, otherwise he wouldn't have caught the attention of the upper echelons. Jade emphasized, and about 80 years ago, Luo Feng passed the Heavenly Bridge's 6th level. He caught up to Bolan's comprehension speed. That brat Bolan is asking for trouble, Tru Yen said. Regardless of anything else, Luo Feng's improvement speed is shocking. Jade's expression was serious, and this genius battle was hosted by the Nine-Blade Knight. Hence when he becomes an undying, he'll naturally be under the Knight. The Knight values him greatly, however. After he accepted the Blood River World mission, he hasn't returned for close to 80 years. He's been staying there all this time. Tru Yen nodded. 80 years. He didn't attempt the Heavenly Bridge again. He didn't attempt the Fantasy Ocean. Jade frowned. Other than the occasional contact with you, he only listens to the Undying's lectures. These 80 years, the other geniuses all improved quite a bit, or did many missions, some even completed 10. Only this Luo Feng is still staying in Blood River World. And according to the reports, his automaton ship has always been parked in space, and its position is the ancient god ruins of Blood River World. The dangers of the ancient god ruins, you should be very clear. Jade frowned. That place is the most dangerous place in the entire Blood River continent. How many great beings of our virtual universe company have fallen there back then? Especially the aura of the ancient god ruins. That's a unique aura unique to the entire universe. If Luo Feng isn't careful, and the aura density is too high, his willpower will break through, and he'll be muddle-headed, equivalent to dying. The Venerable One values him more than Bolan. And these 80 years, he's always been in contact with you. Hence, I hope Tru Yen can tell me everything about his situation on Blood River continent. Jade emphasized, Tru Yen, honestly speaking, you should take risks, but you can't go crazy. You can't treat your disciple's life as a joke. He's after all only a universe-level punk. He hasn't done much these 80 years, just studying the origin laws. Tru Yen smiled. How's his study? Jade asked. As Luo Feng didn't attempt the Heavenly Bridge, his study progress was unknown to others. Average. Tru Yen said casually, out of the 36 wonders, I've comprehended 35. Even though his tone was casual, his expression was one of glee. He indeed should be. Comprehended 35 of them? Jade Monarch was shocked. The first 9, the middle 27, and the last 72. Luo Feng instantly comprehended 35 wonders. How can he be so fast? Jade stared at Tru Yen. Impossible. In the 30 years in Primal Chaos City, he's only comprehended the most basic 9. In the outside world, his study speed should be 10 times slower than in Primal Chaos City. However, from the looks of it, he's comprehending one wonder every 3 years, and it's even more profound than the first 9. 1. He has my guidance. 2. He has time-space scribbles to study. 3. He's absorbed the Blood River crystal, hence his study speed has increased. Tru Yen smiled as he looked at Jade Monarch. Moreover, he is indeed a genius. His perception has increased along with his strength. Blood River continent, ancient god ruins, huge pit quarters. Sitting crossed-legged on a stone bed, dressed in a bronze armor, Luo Feng opened his eyes. 80 years, it had been a total of 80 years since he came to Blood River continent. The effects of the killing aura on his body had gotten smaller and smaller as time passed. However, it was still improving. However, he was still a little away from absorbing the third crystal. However, in these 80 years, my study of the space laws has improved greatly. Luo Feng exclaimed, comprehending 35 wonders. He hadn't even imagined it to be so exaggerated. 30 years in Primal Chaos City was equivalent to 100 years in the actual universe. In the 30 years in Primal Chaos City, he had only comprehended 9 wonders. However, in 80 years in the actual universe, he had actually comprehended the other 26 even more profound wonders. This improvement speed was indeed unbelievable. With the time-space scribbles, True Yan's guidance, and also the golden horned beast's mysterious energy, increasing the universe compatibility by 9 times and comprehending the space laws. Yes. Towards the end, even the golden horned beast had comprehended the space laws. This was because when he was training tearing sky and land and studying the ancient pictures on the 39th year of training, the golden horned beast realized that the claw of the beast didn't just contain the laws of gold, it also contained the laws of space. At this point, the golden horned beast realized that the claw of the beast didn't just contain the laws of gold, it also contained the laws of space. In order to research the true ultimate move, the tearing sky claw, the golden horned beast's main focus was the ancient pictures, the tearing sky and splitting earth technique was secondary. Because of the 3 ancient pictures, every one of them were profound beyond comprehension. And because that claw too contained the space laws, hence the golden horned beast had also begun to study the space laws. The 3 bodies simultaneously studied, all sorts of comprehensions intersected. Especially on the ancient pictures, he had gained a lot. This caused Luo Feng's study to progress quickly. Also, Luo Feng also discovered that as his mental state improved, his soul became clearer and clearer. This also made it so that when he studied the origin laws, he would swiftly catch every flash of inspiration in his mind. From a certain point of view, it could be considered an increase in his comprehension. I estimate that in a few years, I'll be able to comprehend the 36th wonder. Luo Feng's face was filled with anticipation. Tearing sky first claw. Accurately speaking, the reason why I've improved so quickly is because of the ancient pictures. Luo Feng was curious within. That simple claw was actually so profound and unfathomable, unbelievable. There was no point in studying that claw with a human body. However, with the golden horned beast's support in tearing sky and land, when it studied that claw, especially the ancient pictures, it felt like that claw encompassed everything, it was deep and unfathomable. The more it studied, the more it felt like its comprehension was still shallow. Just how strong is that monster? Luo Feng thought within, after which he didn't think any further and headed out of the cave. Following the cave entrance, he quickly reached the edge of the mountain, looking ahead at the endless red aura rumbling. Half a year ago, I attempted to enter the aura whirlpool. At 9.5 times the aura density, I was less than 100 m away from the whirlpool core before finally stopping. Luo Feng was filled with anticipation within. I feel like I've improved since half a year ago. I wonder if I can enter the whirlpool core. So, Luo Feng immediately rushed downwards, heading towards the endless abyss of aura. Aura whirlpool. These few years, apart from studying, Luo Feng would often attempt to enter it, however he didn't dare take the risk. Because Luo Feng was clear. The price of taking the risk could very well be becoming a demon, living a life worse than death. In an instant, Luo Feng arrived within the huge whirlpool. Rumble, the huge whirlpool that was like fresh blood constantly revolved, causing the distant aura to rumble and rumble. The center of the whirlpool was like a red sun. And the bronze-armored Luo Feng walked step by step into the depths of the whirlpool, constantly getting closer to the center. I'm really curious, just what is in the center of the whirlpool? Luo Feng resisted the killing aura that was getting stronger and stronger, constantly getting closer to the glaring red sun. 2 chapters completed. Tomato exclaimed in the vast universe, a few decades was really just a blink of an eye. Chapter 538. Hua Hua. The killing aura was as thick as fresh blood. The huge killing aura whirlpool at the same time emitted an ancient and eternal energy. That energy naturally moved one's soul. Come, child. Come. Come to me. Enjoy the killing, it's so beautiful, it's so memorable. A formless temptation accompanied the killing aura's invasion. That strong killing aura willpower was like a rolling chariot crashing into Luo Feng's willpower. As Luo Feng's willpower was affected, he was also affected by the formless temptation. Dressed in bronze armor, Luo Feng slowly approached the center of the killing aura whirlpool that was like a millstone, gritting his teeth as he resisted. Mine, it's mine. If I want to kill, I will naturally kill. All external willpower, shatter. Shatter. Luo Feng's willpower was terrifyingly strong, time and time again withstanding the invasion and temptation. He wasn't affected at all. As he got closer to the center of the whirlpool, the killing aura willpower and temptation got stronger and stronger. Flying closer to the sun like red ball, Luo Feng became even more cautious. The distance was still 50 m, 40 m, 30 m, 20 m, 10 m. The red ball was right before his eyes. It was the center of the huge killing aura whirlpool. Rumble, an ancient formless energy emanated. It made Luo Feng feel like an ant facing a godly dragon. Even if I'm an ant, I'm still an ant that can kill a godly dragon. Luo Feng immediately abandoned that natural sense of respect within his heart, simultaneously taking a step into the glaring red light, the killing aura whirlpool that was even bigger than the entire Earth's red ball of light. The entire center of the whirlpool regained its calm. He couldn't see the bronze silhouette anymore. The center of the killing aura whirlpool, the red ball. Luo Feng slowly flew forward, feeling the killing aura willpower actually weakening. It seems like when I get closer to the ball, the killing aura willpower is the strongest. After entering the ball of light, the will to slaughter continued to weaken. Flying at a speed even slower than a normal person walking, after flying for about 30 m, all he could see was still a thick red color. Qi. Luo Feng's entire body pierced through the outer layer of the red ball, seeing the scene before him. Mo. A voice that directly pierced through one's soul rang within Luo Feng's consciousness. There was no rhythm to the ancient notes, and every note contained a supreme, endless ancient energy. At the same time, Luo Feng looked at the scene before him in shock. The interior of this red ball of light was empty. There was no red baleful aura at all. However, there were huge golden secret patterns as thick as an arm. Each golden secret pattern was extremely complicated, and there were a total of 12 golden secret patterns that were hundreds of meters long, nearly 1,000 meters long. They intertwined with each other and spiraled in the space. An aura that made one's heart palpitate and submit was being emitted from these 12 mysterious golden patterns. At the same time, 12 huge golden engravings emitted a golden light that enveloped the entire area. The golden light flowed slowly, making the surroundings seem like a holy land. 3 images continuously appeared in the flowing golden light. One of them was a monster that looked like a giant lizard. It raised its sharp horn and looked at the sky. An incomparably huge palm descended from the sky and directly grabbed towards the monster. The ancient monster directly pounced forward. At the same time, its long tail seemed to have teleported and instantly slapped the huge palm. 3 images, these were the 3 ancient images that Luo Feng had seen before. However, at this time, at the center of the whirlpool, the 12 huge golden engravings emitted light that naturally formed the images, were even clearer. Every image would appear and disappear from time to time. The 3 images, in the entire space, were like pieces of paper floating on the surface of the water. They constantly spun, sometimes sinking into the water, sometimes floating, constantly demonstrating, ruthless, an ancient primal, almost like an unintelligent beast's voice. It seemed to have traveled through trillions of years of time and space, resounding in his ears. My God! Luo Feng stared wide-eyed. Origin Law engravings, these are Origin Law engravings. Never before, Luo Feng had never seen the origin law engravings so clearly before, be it in Primal Chaos City or on the spirit weapons. They were all extremely small and simple. And the 12 incomparably huge engravings before him, they were as thick as an arm. Although they seemed simple, every one of them was intertwined with needle-sized tiny engravings. These are Space Origin Law engravings. A portion of the Space Origin Law engravings. Luo Feng's gaze blazed, following which it landed on the 3 ancient images that were constantly appearing and disappearing. It was different from the blurry images he saw before. This time it was incomparably clear. Even the conception of the ancient beast's attack was clearly felt by Luo Feng through the images. I'll first memorize these images and then study the origin law engravings. Luo Feng began to stare hard at the first claw of the 3 images. His consciousness that was comparable to a quantum computer's allowed him to constantly memorize and record a video. This was very simple. However, Luo Feng needed to memorize that concept, that profound and mysterious energy, so that he could comprehend it himself. After studying the first claw for close to 80 years, he had a clear image of the first claw in his mind. And at this time, according to the original first claw, he began to modify some of his memories. Luo Feng was very clear. He hadn't become undying yet. His first claw's standard was definitely many times weaker than that ancient beast. Hence, he couldn't be arrogant at this time. He had to be low profile and learn from the ancient beast. While he was concentrating on memorizing the first claw ancient images, Luo Feng didn't realize that when his body was hit by the golden light, even though there wasn't any killing aura invading him, every cell deep within his body was undergoing a complete transformation. If one were to say that under the invasion of the killing aura, the body's cells would change very slowly. And at this time, it was 100 to 1,000 times faster. It was just that Luo Feng was completely focused on memorizing the first claw. As for his body's transformation, even if his body was destroyed, it was a small matter. Hence Luo Feng couldn't be bothered to be distracted. Memorizing the first claw took a long time. When Luo Feng closed his eyes, the image of the first claw ancient images appeared clearly in his mind. Luo Feng finally sighed. My comprehension isn't high enough. This should be the limit of my memory. I'm unable to memorize that conception and energy any deeper. After which, Luo Feng looked at the other 2 ancient images. Compared to the first claw, which used 80% of his energy, the other 2 moves, Luo Feng used less energy and comprehension. Hence, not long after memorizing them, he couldn't memorize them any deeper. In his memory, the 3 images were deeply engraved. The first claw's conception was the most ancient and vast. The other 2 ancient images too had that ancient and vast energy, however it was obviously much thinner. The main thing was that Luo Feng couldn't memorize them any deeper. I've finally memorized them all. Luo Feng revealed a look of excitement. These ancient images, humans are unable to learn from them. However, it's very beneficial to the golden horned beast. The golden horned beast's comprehension of the origin laws has risen. This is equivalent to the human body's comprehension of the origin laws rising. With the 3 great bodies helping each other, their improvements were naturally fast. My body? Luo Feng, who had regained his focus, immediately discovered the changes in his body. Every cell in his body seemed to be boiling. It was constantly changing. These changes are exactly the same as when the killing aura invades my body. Luo Feng revealed a look of shock before revealing a look of glee. However, the transformation speed seems to be 1,000 times faster. One day here is equivalent to a few years of improvement outside. Luo Feng was overjoyed. He floated in mid-air and looked at the 12 huge golden engravings. These 12 huge golden engravings seemed simple, however, compared to the engravings that True Yen Emperor demonstrated in his classes in Primal Chaos City, it was much more complicated and profound. Luo Feng looked at it for a while, feeling confused. It feels like space? There's also a hint of the gold origin laws. However, after studying it carefully, it's nothing. Luo Feng was extremely curious. When his teacher Tru Yen explained the origin laws, there were times when there were hundreds to thousands of engravings. Luo Feng could understand a lot of them, at least a portion of them. However, at this time, he couldn't understand anything at all. The limit of complexity is this simple. Luo Feng looked at the huge golden engravings for 2 days, suddenly comprehending something. Looks like my comprehension of the origin laws is too different from the wonders of these huge golden engravings. Just like back then when I looked at the 9 universe tablets' 7th to 9th pictures, I couldn't understand them at all. These golden engravings, I can't understand them either. No matter how valuable a book was, in front of an illiterate person, it was useless. The huge golden engravings that were filled with endless mysteries were of no use to Luo Feng at all. He couldn't even remember the energy that was being emitted. He could only rely on his quantum computer-like consciousness to forcefully remember the simple picture. Just like a camera, days passed. Even within the whirlpool core, being shown by the golden light, Luo Feng's body's transformation speed was getting slower and slower. This made Luo Feng know he was reaching the limit of his body. If only my earth body could be as sick as the golden horned beast, that would be great. Without the aura invasion, I absorbed 97 crystals. Luo Feng thought. 97 crystals, this was his achievement in these 80 years. These 80 years, whether it was origin law comprehension or mental state training, they had shocking improvements. Hence, he could enter the depths of the whirlpool core. And the golden horned beast's right claw had some improvements in these 80 years too. Currently it had already absorbed 97 crystals. After a while, the changes within Luo Feng's body finally stopped. I've already reached my limit. Luo Feng thought. I've been in the whirlpool core for close to 30 days. If I were outside, I'd need at least 100 years to fill up my body. I don't know if I can absorb the 3rd crystal now. I'll return to my cave and try. Glancing at the 12 huge golden engravings in mid-air, he turned and rushed into the red light layer, swiftly flying towards the periphery of the whirlpool. P.S. Chapter 1. Chapter 539. Luo Feng became a green beam of light and flew straight into the cave, entering the huge pit quarters. Within the quarters, in the whirlpool core, I've been exposed to the golden light for close to 30 days. My body has already reached saturation. Luo Feng flew straight to the stone bed and sat crossed-legged. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Let's hope I can successfully absorb the 3rd crystal. If I fail again this time, I won't be able to absorb anymore. After all, my body has already been modified to its limit. Whether it's the killing aura or the even better golden light, they're all useless. Taking a deep breath, Luo Feng flipped his hand and a blood-red, beautiful prismatic crystal appeared in his palm. Even though he had seen the crystal tens of thousands of times, every time, he couldn't help but be impressed by its beauty. It's too beautiful. This is a treasure of the universe. Luo Feng gently sliced open his left palm. Qi, a knife-like wound appeared and fresh blood flowed out. As it touched the crystal, immediately a formless killing aura willpower clashed against Luo Feng's willpower. However, his earth body had only absorbed 2 crystals before, hence the overlaid killing aura willpower was child's play to Luo Feng. Qi. Luo Feng frowned. Sitting crossed-legged, his entire body began to twitch uncontrollably. His muscles contorted and his veins wriggled like worms. Scales began to appear on his skin, intense pain. However, the golden horned beast had absorbed 97 crystals before. This pain was something Luo Feng could totally endure. Time passed minute by minute. The blood river crystal in his palm constantly flowed out blood-red threads, entering Luo Feng's body. Gradually, the color of the crystal became lighter and more transparent. After a while, the entire crystal became completely transparent, almost like glass, following which the entire crystal melted into energy and entered Luo Feng's body. Success. I've finally succeeded. When he felt the crystal in his palm completely enter his body, the changes in his body began to weaken. Luo Feng couldn't help but be overjoyed. Yes, overjoyed. His strength had risen. His comprehension of the universe laws had risen. This was one aspect. The other aspect was the points. The points of the Virtual Universe Company were extremely precious. Just like this Blood River World mission, the first mission was to acquire a crystal and the reward was 10,000 points. However, there was only one chance for such a thing. You obtained a Blood River crystal, that's 10,000 points. Even if you get 100,000 crystals, you still wouldn't get any more points, because this mission only gives you 10,000 points. After all, to a universe level, it might be hard to acquire the crystals. However, to undyings, or even beings like True Yen, if they could teleport, then getting the crystals would be much easier. But it's very strange. The Virtual Universe Company has always said that the Blood River Crystal is a treasure. Luo Feng was curious. However, in Blood River World, there are tens of millions of worlds. Every world city controls many territories and many domain lord-level warriors. Pretty much every domain lord has Blood River crystals. Obviously, the total amount of crystals is extremely huge. But I've searched the treasure trove of the Virtual Universe Company. There aren't any Blood River crystals for sale. Luo Feng was even more suspicious. Right, there weren't any for sale. Blood River crystals, in the vast universe, only the secret region Blood River World could produce them. Even in Blood River World, Blood River crystals were highly valued. But after all, the total amount was not small. But the treasure trove didn't exchange for them. The Blood River World mission is a universe-level mission. Luo Feng thought. Domain lords have to head out and become governors. Sector lords are even more life and death training. I probably won't even have the chance to enter Blood River World in the future. Luckily, I managed to get over 9,000 crystals this time. Subconsciously, Luo Feng felt that the crystals should be classified as forbidden items. Forbidden items that were monopolized by the Virtual Universe Company. Even with his absolute beginning member status, he couldn't exchange for them. When I have the chance, I'll go back and take a look. Let's first see what happens after I absorb the 3 crystals. Luo Feng didn't think about anything else and began to activate the mysterious energy within him. Immediately, a blood-red engraving appeared on his bare chest. A simple yet complete engraving. How beautiful! Luo Feng closed his eyes. He could faintly feel the depths of the endless universe, the origin low ripples, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, light, thunder, space, time. The ripples of the origin laws were much clearer, 1 time. The clarity of my comprehension has increased by about 1 time. The power of my origin laws has also increased by 1 time. Luo Feng thought. Increasing by 1 time was equivalent to having 2 times of strength from before. It was equivalent to having a higher level of strength. With my comprehension increased, my comprehension of the origin laws will be even faster in the future. Luo Feng praised within. No wonder the Blood Warriors are so valued. To be able to enter the Virtual Universe Company, they are all absolute geniuses. Their comprehension and origin laws will increase by 2 times. How can this be? Giving 100,000 points as a reward is normal. Let's try again. Let's see if I can absorb the 4th crystal. And my willpower is stronger too. I'll let the golden horned beast try to absorb the 98th crystal and see if it succeed. Luo Feng was filled with anticipation. After a while, the earth body absorbed the 4th crystal. Halfway through, he failed. The golden horned beast tried to absorb the 98th crystal. Its consciousness persisted for a while and was about to succeed. However, it was destroyed by the killing aura willpower. Failure. Haha, one can't be too greedy. Luo Feng was overjoyed. Suddenly, he stood up from the stone bed. My consciousness. I estimate that in another 8 to 10 years, I'll be able to withstand the killing aura willpower from the 98th crystal. There was no rush. His lifespan was 10 times that of a normal sector lord. The goal of absorbing the 100th crystal would definitely be reached. Right now I'm a blood warrior. Luo Feng thought. The second mission is to absorb 3 crystals and become a blood warrior, acquiring the Blood River medal. Only after that will I get the 100,000 points. Blood River medal. Every blood warrior, if they go to any world city to meet a world leader, they'll usually be able to acquire a Blood River medal. Blood God Baki, he's a world leader, he'll probably be carrying the medal. Luo Feng didn't want to wait any longer. Staying in the ancient god ruins was no longer beneficial to his body. And he had many things to do at the Virtual Universe Company headquarters. It was time to leave Blood River World. Hurry and acquire the medal. So, Luo Feng flew out, flying out of the cave entrance and swiftly descending into the abyss. It's 97. In the depths of the abyss, the huge bronze silhouette sitting crossed-legged on a platform opened his eyes and gazed into the distance. Number 2, what do you think of 97? All these years, he's always stayed in the huge pit, at most getting close to the aura whirlpool. Another voice traveled close to 10,000 kilometers and resounded in number 1's ears. The Blood God Guard's communication bracelet was used for surveillance. As long as the Blood God Guard was within the area of Blood River Continent, they would be able to know their location through the bracelet. Because Blood River Continent was unbelievably huge. Hence, every coordinate on the bracelet had an accuracy of about 100 kilometers. To experts, an accuracy of 100 kilometers was enough, because as long as it was within 100 kilometers, a sector lord or region lord would be able to instantly find the target. Whether it was Blood God Baki or the 2 captains, through the bracelet, they all discovered that Luo Feng had been close to the aura whirlpool. Because the coordinates had a 100 kilometers error. None of them knew that Luo Feng had been within the whirlpool before. All these years, to be able to focus on training here and not do anything else, at least we can trust him. We can trust him. At the bottom of the abyss, it was vast and vast. A blood-colored palace stood in the middle of the murderous aura. A green flowing light landed in front of the palace and entered it. At the same time, he said respectfully, Blood God Guard 97 wishes to meet Lord Blood God. Wait a moment. A voice resounded from within the palace. Luo Feng was very clear that this was the voice of the quantum computer. He quietly waited within the palace. The Blood God was training and forbade others from disturbing him. If he wanted to meet the Blood God, it was best to go through the quantum computer. I'm on the 5th level, come over. A powerful voice resounded within Luo Feng's ears. Yes. Only then did Luo Feng follow the stairs and swiftly head upwards like a phantom. In an instant, he arrived at the 5th level of the blood-colored palace. The 5th level was comparable to the size of the 1st level. However, this level had a more human feel to it than the 1st level. For example, the decorations on the surrounding walls and the luxurious carpets on the ground were all made of materials that would not decay even after 1,000,000 years. On the top of the palace hall on the 5th floor, there was a figure sitting on a pitch-black throne that emitted a dense killing intent. A majestic silhouette, blood-red long robe and long blood-red hair. It was the Blood God Baki. At the bottom of the hall, near the throne, there stood an extremely large desolate beast, Qinyo. Although the desolate beast Qinyo was at the bottom of the hall, due to its massive size, its back was even taller than Blood God Baqi's. Greetings Lord Qinyo. Luo Feng knelt down on one knee, kneeling on the ground. 97, what business do you have? Baki sat high up in the throne, gazing below and saying coldly. Lord, I've already absorbed 3 crystals, Luo Feng said respectfully. Since young, I've always dreamed of becoming a blood warrior and acquiring a blood river medal. I've come here to receive the medal. Ah! Baki stood up fiercely. Beside him, the huge wild beast Qin Yo spat out 2 hot energy streams from his nostrils, directly brushing past Luo Feng. Absorbed 3 crystals? Baki was shocked. This new Blood God Guard 97's talent was very high. However, absorbing 3 crystals so quickly, this shocked him. Because there were some humans who could absorb 4, 5, even 7 or 8 crystals, like Baki himself. However, this required a long period of time of being tempered by the killing aura. Yes. Kneeling on one knee, Luo Feng's bronze armor automatically split open, revealing his chest. Simultaneously, he activated the mysterious energy within his body and immediately a blood-red engraving appeared on his chest. Looking at this simple and complete blood-red engraving, Baki's eyes gleamed. He revealed a rare smile and laughed loudly. 97, very good, very good. Rumble. Qin Yo's nostrils spat out 2 hot waves, simultaneously making a thick sound. Very good. P.S. 2 chapters completed. Chapter 540. Within the palace, Blood God Baki laughed loudly as he walked down from his throne. And Luo Feng was still kneeling on one knee. Baki looked at the kneeling Luo Feng. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. Blood River World was different from the universe. The universe's virtual universe companies and other super leviathans nurtured their geniuses, letting them compete and nurture them from a protective angle. Blood River World was different. There were over 10 million world cities on Blood River continent, countless sector lords fighting and killing each other. Even if you were a genius, no matter how strong you were, you would still have to go through all sorts of killing to reach the pinnacle step by step. Hence, Baki absorbed the elites to build his own Blood God Guard. This was his capital to conquer the world. Right now he was training here. However, the moment he revealed himself, power and position would have to rely on killing and killing to fight for it. Blood River continent worshipped strength. Worshipped killing. 97. You were able to kill domain level 1 blood demons at cloud level 9. Baki stood there, looking down at the kneeling Luo Feng. Now that you've absorbed 3 crystals, your improvement speed will definitely be faster. With your talent, even amongst the geniuses of the Undying Shrine, you're still top-notch. Under me, the benefits you'll receive definitely won't be any less than the geniuses nurtured by the Undying Shrine. Baki said confidently. If you're loyal to me, I'll naturally treat you with sincerity. Thank you, Lord. I'll definitely do my best to serve you. Luo Feng knelt there on one knee, clean and direct. When Baki heard that, his smile grew wider. Ha ha, ha 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 ha. Baki laughed happily. His laughter resounded within the palace, even causing the Blood God Guards training in the 3rd level to look up, curious as to why the Blood God was so happy. Baki smiled and personally helped Luo Feng up. Luo Feng followed suit and stood up. Work hard. Baki smiled at Luo Feng. First break through to domain level O. As for the Blood River medals, I haven't even taken over the world city. The medals I brought back then have all been given out. Luo Feng was stunned. It glowed? Which means Baki didn't have any? Haha, 97, you little punk. Hearing there's no Blood River medal, your expression changed. Baki laughed. I understand your thoughts. Ever since I was young, I've heard the legends of the Blood Warrior and Black Warrior growing up. I've worked hard to become a Blood Warrior and Black Warrior, working hard to get the Blood River medal. That medal, to the person who obtains it, is just a medal. It has no other meaning. To those who don't get it, it's a goal they've been pursuing for thousands of years. And I don't have any more Blood River medals on me. I will inform the Undying Shrine and ask them to give me more. Ba Qi smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. In about 10 days, or at least 6 or 7 days, the Undying Shrine will send a messenger to deliver the Blood River medal to me. I'll give it to you then. Thank you, Lord. Luo Feng's face was filled with gratitude as he bowed. Haha, go. Let's first break through to the domain level. Blood God Baki laughed. Oh right, these are 2 Blood River crystals. When you've absorbed them all, come find me. Following which he flipped his hand and took out 2 crystals, after which they floated and floated before Luo Feng. Luo Feng respectfully received them. Thank you, Lord. Blood God Baki smiled as he watched Luo Feng leave respectfully, after which he couldn't help but laugh loudly, causing the entire palace to tremble. As Luo Feng left the 5th level, he met the other Blood God guards. They were all curious as to why Baki was so happy. Hence they all came to ask. Luo Feng naturally explained. Immediately the group of Blood God guards were filled with envy and congratulated Luo Feng. Amidst the congratulations, Luo Feng left the palace and rushed into the sky, heading towards the abyss filled with red killing aura. This is the first time I've seen Blood God Baki. He's domineering and cold. If I go against him, he'll kill me immediately. Luo Feng smiled as he flew and shook his head, exclaiming within. However, after so many years, when I meet him again, his attitude is obviously much better. Even knowing that I've absorbed 3 crystals, he's even closer. This was a form of trust. Back then when they first met, even though he had submitted, Blood God Baki probably didn't trust him much. However, for a long time, he stayed obediently within the huge pit. This obviously made Baki very satisfied. It could be said that he finally treated him as a trusted follower. Maybe his level of trust wasn't as high as his Captain Number 1 and the others. However, his talent had obviously made Baki regard him highly. It's a pity. Baki, I can't stay in this Blood River world forever. My world is even more vast. Luo Feng muttered within. After I get the medal, I'll leave. If I ever come again, it'll definitely be a very long time later. So, Luo Feng swiftly broke through the skies and headed straight for his huge pit quarters. Not long after Luo Feng left, Baki personally used his communication device to send a message to the Undying Shrine, requesting for some medals. The Undying Shrine was located in the core region of the ancient god ruins. The land was vast, with many mountain ranges. Occasionally, there would be swamps, lakes, forests, huge pits etc. In an area of 10 million kilometers, killing aura whirlpools could be seen everywhere. Be it on a mountain peak, or in the depths of a lake, or in the depths of a huge pit, or floating in mid-air, at the core of every whirlpool was a glaring red sun. Within a 10 million kilometers area, there were a total of 10,081 blood-like aura whirlpools. Every whirlpool, the larger ones were 10 times the size of the huge pit Luo Feng was in, the smaller ones were only 1/10 the size of the huge pit. There were all sorts of blood-red aura whirlpools. They were of different heights, sizes and positions. The 10081 vortexes were scattered in the sky, the lakes, the mountains, the valleys and other places, naturally forming a special pattern. Rumble, Li, Ong. Almost like an ancient beast howling, traversing trillions of years of time and space, resounding in this region. In the center of the 10,081 whirlpools, there was a black and red ancient shrine that took up 1,000,000 kilometers. The shrine's surface had incomparably complicated carvings, like some beasts roaring, some undyings battling. Surrounded by the 10,081 whirlpools, the shrine too emanated an ancient energy. An ancient shrine that took up 1,000,000 km. How big was it? Earth, compared to this shrine, was very small. The shrine's size was comparable to a sun. This was the highest authority of the entire Blood River world. A place that even the Virtual Universe Company couldn't completely conquer. The Undying Shrine was majestic and tall. Within a palace on the 9,829th level. Yuka, a silhouette clad in black armor and helmet, stood before the throne, gazing below. His voice rumbled like thunder. Below, a white uniformed man knelt on the ground, his head buried in the ground. Go get 20 Blood River medals now. With the fastest speed, send them to Baki. The armored silhouette said slowly. Yes, great God. The white-clothed man knelt and said respectfully. Go. The armored silhouette said. Shwa. The armored figure directly disappeared from the palace. Only then did the white-clothed man stand up and walk outside. At the same time, he called out to the people outside, Ula, hurry up and prepare your team of envoys. We'll leave the divine hall immediately. Yes, Lord Yuka. Voices resounded from outside. After a while, a dark purple disc-shaped universe ship swiftly tore through the skies and left the shrine. On the 15th level, it swiftly headed towards the huge pit. The ancient god ruins were simply too vast. The universe ships created by the Undying Shrine couldn't compare to Luo Feng's automaton ship in terms of performance. And flying within the clouds, the resistance was far greater than flying in space. Hence, it would take about 6 to 10 days to reach the huge pit. The 6 to 10 days here was Blood River Continent's time. In truth, it was Earth's time, about 1 to 2 months. In that ship, after flying for about 20 days of Earth time, in a vast lake within the ancient god ruins, there was an island in the center. Within the island, there were warriors training there. At the bottom of the lake, there was a huge killing aura whirlpool. Endless killing aura emanated from it, making this island an extremely good place to train. Lord! Lord! 2 silhouettes fiercely rushed out of the lake and landed on the island. The 2 of them rushed in and shouted loudly, their voices rumbling, resounding throughout the entire island. With the strength of an area lord, it was easy to imagine how loud this roar was. Lord! Lord! The 2 rushed to the entrance of a beautiful silver-white palace. Outside the palace stood many beautiful maids. Rumble! A silhouette rushed out of the palace and instantly appeared at the entrance. With a wave of his hand, a huge palm formed from world energy fiercely slapped the 2 shouting underlings. The 2 region lords were sent flying with a single slap, smashing into the trees and flowers in the distance. I've said it before. At the entrance of the palace stood a white-robed, extremely handsome and devilish-looking youth. His devilish fox-like eyes gazed at the 2 who were coughing out blood. When I was training, if you want to find me, you have to first notify the quantum computer. Yet you 2 were shouting and yelling, this is a lesson. If there's a next time, don't blame me for being merciless. The 2 guards immediately woke up from the fright. Your subordinate knows his mistake. Your subordinate knows his mistake. The 2 flew over and bowed respectfully. The fox-like youth snorted, before saying indifferently, speak, just what happened that made you 2 so crazy? Lake bottom, ruins. One of the guards shouted. There are ruins at the bottom of the lake. It could very well be the ruins of the legendary battle from countless years ago. The other guard said. The fox-like youth instantly stared wide-eyed. Ruins? The ruins of the legendary battle? Hurry and bring me there. The fox-like youth shouted, his face flushed red. P.S. Chapter 1 here.